The watchdog says the banks colluded in a private online chat room to fix rand-dollar trades. Mongezi Koko takes a look.
Last year, the Competition Appeal Court threw out the case against most of the banks, leaving only 4 for the Commission to pursue. It ruled that there wasn't enough evidence and that South African authorities lacked jurisdiction over the implicated foreign banks. Today, the Commission is back at the Apex Court, seeking to widen the net, arguing that 13 international banks can be held accountable because their actions impacted the rand and local economy. 2 of the 4 banks that remain in the dock are also appealing to have their names cleared, setting the stage for a complex legal battle over the next 4 days. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
A multi-million rand grant meant to empower women, youth and disabled people from rural villages has ended up in the pockets of a board member from the National Lottery Commission. Advocate William Elias Wuma has been ordered by the special tribunal to pay back more than 21 million rand he unlawfully received from the state. The special tribunal presides over cases brought to it by the Special Investigating Unit. Thabiso Koba reports.
Between August and September 2020, the National Lotteries Commission awarded 2 grants amounting to 21 million rand to the Samaritan Initiative NPO and Riachile NPC. The directors of these 2 companies comprised of the wife, nieces and nephews of Advocate William Huma, who was a board member of the commission at the time. SIU spokesperson Kaiser Khanyago says the money was used to purchase a chicken farm.
The SIU investigation found that the funds were misappropriated by Silverlight Trading, which Huma took over control as a sole director. The farm is now in a dilapidated state and has never benefited the community of Marikana.
The SIU has also been granted a preservation order of 10 million rand, which is the proceeds of sale from Huma's Waterkloof property. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Some gender-based activists in Eldorado Park have shown sympathy for the mother arrested alongside her husband for the rape and murder of their 4-year-old daughter. The woman, who is also pregnant, was seen crying in court when she and her husband abandoned their bail applications. The child's father is charged with rape, compelled rape, murder, assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm, and child abuse, while the mother is charged with murder, child abuse, and failing to report a sexual assault of a minor. Activist Zelda van der Merwe says usually in gender-based violent cases, when a woman is also a victim of abuse and fears for her life, she does not report crimes that the perpetrator is committing.
I don't think any woman would want a child to be raped and all those things. So she's a woman. And, when you're in a relationship, when an abusive relationship, it's not easy to come out of an abusive relationship. It's just sad the way things ended now. Really, I can't speak ill about her, but really our people needs to learn when you need to speak out.
And rebel fighters have killed at least 52 civilians in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo in recent days. Attacks from the Allied Democratic Forces targeted several villages in the North Kivu province in the past 2 weeks, with warnings that the toll could go up. After a relative lull in recent months, ADF rebels also killed more than 40 people in a church in the end of July in Komanda, a town in neighboring Ituri province. The ADF, an armed group originally formed by former Ugandan rebels, has killed thousands of civilians in northeastern DRC despite the deployment of the Ugandan army alongside Congolese armed forces. The renewed violence comes as a separate conflict between the DRC and the Rwanda-backed M23 group continues to simmer in the east of the country despite peace treaties signed in recent months. Gold is trading at $3,338.35 an ounce. The rand is at 17.65 to the dollar, 23.83 to the pound, 20.57 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.20 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy delays on the Markwan North between Boyson's Road and Car Street. There's also queuing traffic along the R21 South. This is just as you leave Tembisa between Olifantsfontein Road and the R25. Roadworks are taking place along this route, and that's the reason for those delays.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 23 and 24 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the Competition Commission will defend its powers to prosecute banks accused of manipulating the rand as a 4-day hearing gets underway at the Constitutional Court this morning.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Gauteng's greatest awards at 702 and Yoko. Let's celebrate excellence, one vote at a time. Go to primediaplus.com now to vote for the finalist that makes Gauteng feel like home.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Nine minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, Sanmonani, good morning. Well, I took a bit of time there to say hi to you because I was still teaching Bongani how to do core stomach exercises to deal with his umkaba. So that's what we'll be talking about later at 11:30. Belly fat. It is probably, one of the most difficult things to deal with as you age, isn't it? Belly fat and how to get rid of it. I mean, I'm this close to getting on a flight to Turkey to have it sorted out there because, my goodness, it's so tough. So that's what we're going to be talking about on our health and wellness feature today. We'll be discussing belly fat and how to lose it because people have all sorts of ideas about how to lose that belly fat. So hope you can share your tips with us as well at 11:30. Thank you so much for joining us on this 19th day of August. It's wonderful to have you with us here on 702. I hope you're well this morning. The 702 open line starts now on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. The meeting between Trump and Zelensky took place yesterday, finally. Did you see that Zelensky actually rocked up in a suit? I haven't seen him in a suit in a very long time. He looked really good in a suit. And I don't think he really wanted to wear a suit yesterday to that meeting. I think he's doing that because he's trying to navigate this relationship with Donald Trump. In fact, I thought he was a genius when he started that meeting with Trump by thanking Melania Trump, Trump's wife, for sending Putin a letter asking for Ukraine and Ukraine's children to be returned. He even gave Trump a letter from his wife, right, from the First Lady of Ukraine. Gave him the letter, and that's just an appreciation that, the First Lady of America has written to to Putin to say, we need those babies to be returned. Here's a letter for your wife from the First Lady of Ukraine, which may or may not have disarmed Trump, right? If he was planning anything weird. But I thought it was a good strategic move by Zelensky to remind Trump of what Putin is doing in Ukraine. You know, people are being killed, children have been kidnapped, and all this is being pushed by the same man that Trump welcomed with open arms despite all these atrocities in Ukraine. This was actually that moment when Zelensky thanked Trump's wife.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. If I can, first of all, thank you for invitation and thank you very much for your efforts, personal efforts to stop killings and stop this war. Thank you. And using this opportunity, many thanks to your wife, First Lady of the United States. She sent a letter to Putin about our children, abducted children, and my wife, she, First Lady of Ukraine. She gave the letter. It's not to you, to your wife.
Oh, I want it.
Yeah. So we are saying this sensitive topic. Yeah. Yes, please. And thanks to our partners and that you supported this format. That after our meeting we can have leaders who are around us, UK and France, Germany, Italy, Finland, EU, NATO. I mean, all partners around Ukraine supporting us. Thanks them and thank you very much for invitation.
Thank you very much for being here.
Aren't you glad that things transpired the way they did? Because the last time Zelensky was in the Oval Office, it was a disaster. It was such a disaster. By the way, President Putin briefed President Cyril Ramaphosa yesterday over the phone about the meeting that he had with President Trump. And the presidency yesterday sent out a statement, our presidency, saying that President Ramaphosa appreciated the briefing from Putin and underscored the need for more compromise on key issues in order for us to see lasting peace in between the two countries, between Ukraine and Russia. Am I the only one that thinks this is a big deal for our president? Two powerful world leaders met, and one of them calls him for a briefing. I mean, this is not the first time our president receives such a call. Remember when President Ramaphosa hosted the Ukrainian president, Zelensky, a couple of months ago? President Trump actually called our president about that meeting. Our president has positioned himself as an important key player in global politics. These are interesting geopolitical times, and I think our president is seen as that negotiator that he is. In fact, his efforts, I think, have clearly been felt here. And I wonder what you think of that on 011-883-0702. At 10 o'clock, we're going to be in conversation with the Higher Education Minister, Buti Manamela. We're going to have a broader conversation about issues in higher education. He's been talking about a sweeping reform plan for the country's post-school education and training system. He says that the sector actually remains fragmented. It's underperforming and out of step with the economy's needs. So what's the plan? Because we've got many skills being offered, but are they actually meeting economic demand? That's one of the questions I'll be asking him, and what the plan actually is. I want to ask about the TVET education. How do we strengthen that to produce work-ready and modern economy-suited graduates? I want to talk about SETAs as well, because they've got to deliver measurable values. I'm not sure if you can say that about SETAs as they currently are structured right now. So that conversation and many other issues between 10 and 11 o'clock as we chat to the new Higher Education Minister, Buti Manamela. At 11 o'clock, we're going to do our World of Work feature. Today we're discussing how to make work environments more friendly to mothers. At 11:30, as I said earlier, we're going to be talking about what many of us are struggling with at our age. And raise your hand if you're not struggling with this. Belly fat and how to lose it. For many people, stubborn belly fat is one of the hardest areas to target, no matter how many diets or workouts that you try. So at 11:30 on our health and wellness feature, we'll bring in someone who can maybe assist us with how to get rid of this. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Hi, 702 Land. Sviso here from Centurion. Just want to speak about the Zelensky and Trump meeting. Zelensky, you could tell that he's uncomfortable with trying to quote unquote lick the boot. You know, by glazing or praising rather Trump and saying thank you a lot. And even you could see with his eyes, this guy is not comfortable being there with what he's doing. You know, he's just not comfortable. You know, so hey, Zelensky really had to like change his mental to approach Sir Donald Trump. Thank you guys. Great show.
Hey, morning, Clement. Open first, Doras. Clement, I think what Zelensky has done, as we are saying, it was a good strategy. But Clement, it highlights one thing. Wherever there are wives, even in tradition, we can know in old tradition, when wives get involved, things tend to be a bit easier. You check Clement from Bo Samson and Bo Delilah. By the way, Clement, you must get married so that when you are tough, we're going to talk to the madam so that she lowers the temperature. Thanks a lot, Jez.
Wait, some said Delilah. When did wives? Who's the biblical? It was it Samson or Delilah that the lady cut his hair because he was powerful and he lost his power. Samson, get Samson, and Delilah is the lady. Oh. Yeah, what an example to use. Ah, that's funny. That is so funny. Okay, here's something else. I want to get your thoughts on, and I know some of you are gonna come for me for this because you have come for me when I have said something similar. Abel, do you have a clip of Mapisa Nqakula crying yesterday in court? I think I sent it to you. Let's see if we can play it. But also, they won't hear anything anyway, because actually it's silence. Well, you can hear the judge speaking, and the former Speaker of Parliament, Nosiviwe Mapisa Nqakula, is seen breaking down. And honestly, guys, I saw that and it just broke my heart. It really just broke my heart because I'm a very compassionate person, right? So it doesn't matter how much I'm angry at you. At some level, I will still feel, I'll still feel very sad if you are in a troubling situation. So, yesterday, Mapisa Nqakula is in court, and then they are postponing it, I think, to November. And then she just broke down, and that was so heartbreaking. And a friend of mine also said, "Oh, can they just please just like forgive her?" And I was like, no. Also, don't confuse my compassion, right, or sympathy with not wanting accountability to take place. And I always want to make the distinction because some people are like, yeah, but why you can't justify corruption. No, I'm not doing that. I'm just saying as a human being, I'm heartbroken to see an older woman like that going through such a process and it's breaking her down. It would sadden me if I was her child. It would sadden me if I was related to her. And it's saddening me now, and I don't even have any form of relationship with her. But I'm saying that doesn't mean I don't want her to be held accountable. In fact, I hope she will end up in jail if she was corrupt. If the court finds that she was corrupt, I hope that she does end up in jail for a very long time, for that matter. But I also feel so sad. I feel so sorry for him. It's the same thing with what happened with, remember Jacob Zuma, when he was arrested or when he presented himself to prison. And I just remember seeing him in track pants. Oh, my goodness. It was so sad. And some of you were calling in and saying, no, he deserves it, which is fine. I respect that. And I never for a moment said Zuma must not be taken to jail. In fact, after the Constitutional Court, I kept saying on this show, thank God, because actually you need that message to be sent out to South Africans that we are all equal before the law. The fact that you are some former president with some support and there are people that are up in arms, justice must be done, come hell or fire, or whatever they say in that phrase. Justice must be done. And even with the former president, I'm glad that he ended up going to jail because there was a ruling from the Constitutional Court, and that, for me, strengthens our constitutional democracy and equality before the law. That's very important. But that doesn't mean that now I must not feel sympathy. So I'm separating the two. And I wonder if there are some of you that saw that video. If you didn't see it, I'll try and tweet it if you are on X, on Twitter. But she broke down Nosiviwe Mapisa Nqakula, and it was just so sad to witness. Last week, Monday, we spoke, was it last week? No, later in the week last week, I think on Thursday, we spoke to Angie Motshekga's spokesperson. Remember that? Because the SANDF general was in Iran and he started making political statements in Iran. Again, let's be clear. There's nothing wrong with our SANDF chief going to Iran. Iran is a country that South Africa has diplomatic relations with. So there will be meetings that are held between the two countries until we decide that we are not going to have diplomatic relations between the two countries. Then you can be up in arms about why some of our officials are going to Iran. So there's nothing wrong with that. The same way that we can go to Russia, same way that we can go to China, even though the US may be unhappy about it. The issue here is this man made political statements. That is beyond his authority. That falls within the authority of the president and the Department of International Relations. When we spoke to, because the presidency, the DERCO, and even the Minister of International Relations, Angie Motshekga, they distanced themselves from the political statements this man has made, right? Remember, even the spokesperson for the minister said that on this show last week when we spoke to her, Onika Kwakwa.
What has he said? How has he explained these comments so far? Didn't the minister get on a call with him?
Yes, the minister is going to have a meeting today with the chief. He has already returned last night. They could not really engage on a call, but the minister did indicate that she would love to have a meeting as urgent as possible, and the meeting is going to take place today. And I think that is where the general, of course, will need to really explain what really has informed him getting into the terrain of foreign policy, which is really the purview of the president and DERCO, as we have said in our statement.
So that's what the minister's spokesperson said, that the minister thinks that the statements that the SNDF chief made were unfortunate. Oh, but wait, the minister then changes her tune over the weekend at the convention when speaking to Times Live, and then now defends the comments that were made by the SNDF chief.
It's a coincidence that it coincides with the tensions, so say Iran and America and the fact that we're negotiating this invitation here last year, I sanctioned it last year. So the event was postponed. Then they communicated back to say the visit can continue. And then was it had already been sanctioned? Okay.
So that's what we only cut that shortly because it was too, and I apologize for the quality of that sound, but the rest of the clip was bad. But you can go read the article from Times Live. The minister says clearly, he's basically saying there's nothing wrong with what the SNDF chief has said. In fact, when the journalist asked the minister, but the presidency says this trip was ill-advised because it's the minister who approved it. And then the minister says, well, that's a difference of opinions. That's what they think. I mean, I don't know, but if you have ministers like these that are undermining efforts to stabilize relations with the US, that's just so weird to me. There's no strategic awareness whatsoever. And again, that's not to say that we're not allowed to be in Iran or Iran's officials can't be here. There's a diplomatic relationship that exists between the two countries. But when you are there, don't make political statements that you have no business making that are going to end up putting us in further trouble with America. At some point, you need to decide, are we giving up on trying to work out a relationship with America? Or are we going to find ways to try and fix things? And fixing things doesn't mean do what America wants. That's why I'm saying, yes, still go to Iran. Go to Iran as an SNDF chief because we've done military exercises with Russia, with China, with countries that the US thinks are not friendly to them. That's fine. That's a decision we make as a sovereign state. But my goodness, stay away from politics because that is not your forte. That sits with the president and the Department of International Relations. But the Minister of Defense, who just last week released a statement saying the statements were unfortunate, now comes back and says, well, actually, nothing wrong with that. Why are we up in arms? We're being dramatic, basically. I wonder what your thoughts are. Rise Mzansi's leader, Songe Zuziwe, was suggesting that the president should have dismissed her, the Minister of Defense. I think that's a bit dramatic. But I do think there must be a conversation there, a reprimand of sorts. Or at the very least, make your cabinet president be aware of how strategic this government needs to be as it continues negotiations with the US. Otherwise, we're gonna be in deep.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
How would you advise President Ramaphosa then? How does he navigate this rather delicate sort of terrain that he's finding himself in, particularly given the fact that there will most likely be a bilateral between Zelensky and Putin and ultimately a trilateral that will involve Donald Trump as well?
For President Ramaphosa, presenting a cautious but present and showcasing what South Africa can do to assist, that I think for me is an important role that can be played.
Gustavo Di Callio.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Here at Betway, we're finding every way possible to make sure you can win your next sports bet. With our new Bet Saver feature, you could get your stake back or more on bets with multiple losses. Stand to win even when your bet misses. Bet Saver, exclusive to Betway. Terms and conditions apply. Betway is licensed and regulated by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. South African Responsible Gambling Program toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Winners know when to stop.
Dreaming of a tropical escape? World Leisure Holidays has your ticket to paradise with exclusive getaways to the Indian Ocean Islands. From the beaches of Mauritius and the Maldives to the charm of Madagascar, Seychelles, Zanzibar and more, your dream destination awaits. Take advantage of early bird specials and pay stay offers. Call 011-285-2500 and mention 702 for a mystery discount. Or follow us on social media or contact your nearest travel professional. Start planning your escape today. T's and C's apply.
Mom, Dad, you're not gonna believe this.
What's up, bud?
Luke's family has a kitchen.
Okay.
Like a real one, with knives and a sink for dishes. His mom was just standing there, making food with her hands. There was a fridge full of vegetables, even broccoli.
Not broccoli.
Oh, the horror. Who needs a kitchen? Simply spend 200 Rand or more and you could win Simply Asia for a year. T's and C's apply. Simply Asia, connecting the Thai way.
9:30, time for the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. We'll come back with your calls on 011-883-0702. Koketso, I'll start with you in the East Rand. We're taking your voice notes as well on 072-702-1702. Sfiso, hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. The Competition Commission will defend its powers to prosecute banks accused of manipulating the rand as a 4-day hearing gets underway at the Constitutional Court this morning. A total of 28 local and international financial institutions, including Nedbank, Standard Bank and First Rand, were accused by the Commission of rigging the rand between 2007 and 2013. The watchdog says the banks colluded in a private online chat room to fix rand-dollar trades. The Palm Ridge Magistrates Court is today set to hear the bail application of 3 men accused of killing former IFP Member of Parliament Keta Mabala Stole. Stole was shot during a ward meeting in Katlehong in May. 2 other IFP members were also seriously injured during the shooting. And the KwaZulu-Natal government has committed to helping with funeral arrangements of an e-hailing driver who was killed at Maponya Mall in Soweto. Mthokozi Simvelase was shot and set on fire inside his car last week while on duty. It's understood he recently joined the e-hailing business after relocating to Johannesburg from KZN. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traffic is heavily backed up on the M2 West. This is between Wemapan Road and Elof Street. While traveling on the N12 West as well as the R24 West, traffic is backed up between Edenville Road and the Killies Interchange. Speaking of the Killies Interchange, heading towards The turn-off delays on the N3 North coming out of Van Buren Road. There's also queuing traffic along the M1 South between Grayston Drive and Corlett Drive, and that's due to roadworks. Please be on the lookout there and drive with care. I'll have your next traffic update at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Mabota, 1 to 3 p.m.
Sleep shaming, is it a real thing? And your view, especially coming off of last week's conversation where people were saying, you know, why are we encouraging laziness when it comes to young people?
You know, I think sometimes we get caught up in the terminology and sometimes we get so lost in the semantics of things that we hear the word sleep shaming where you're putting a term to describe something, and that's when we started going into those conversations of you promoting laziness and what have you. But I think if we just step back a little bit from the accuracy of the term, but we rather think about what we're actually trying to unpack.
Sikander Kalla, who is founder of Cohesive Collaboration and a clinical psychologist.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Mabota.
Let's walk the talk.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our new Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
Hi everyone, I'm Dean McPherson, the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. Since I was appointed just over a year ago, we've laid a firm foundation in the department, and after tabling our 7.6 billion rand budget for growth, we're now turning plans into action. That means that we're moving government departments into our own state-owned buildings to save you billions of rands in rent. We're unlocking public land to build affordable housing, create shelters for victims of gender-based violence, and to boost food production. We're also tackling corruption head-on without fear or favor. And we're giving young South Africans real opportunities through a reformed EPWP program that focuses on skills and long-term jobs. And this is only the beginning. With your support, we're building a capable and professional department that delivers infrastructure, creates jobs, and puts public assets to work for the public good. The best is yet to come because we're building a better country for you, brick by brick.
Ah, Shane, do you have a sore throat? The Andalex range of lozenges offers two options. At the first signs of an irritated, scratchy throat, use Andalex lozenges for dual-action soothing relief. But for a painful, inflamed throat, use Andalex C lozenges for triple-action pain relief. Andalex, SA's #1 choice for a sore mouth and throat. Andalex lozenges are available at all leading pharmacies and supermarkets.
Just Andalex it.
The 12th edition of the DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star, is here. Experience unbeatable vibes this heritage weekend at the Kailami Grand Prix Circuit on the 20th and 21st of September. On Saturday 20th, catch Don Toliver, Questa, Inkabi Zoezwe, and more. Then on Sunday the 21st, don't miss the iconic Lauryn Hill on her 25th anniversary tour with special guests. We've got YG Mali and Zion Mali with Lira, Mandi Sijanji, Zoe Mudicha also performing on Sunday. Tickets at Ticketmaster. The DSTV Delicious Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star and proudly supported by 702.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Straight to your calls and WhatsApps. Let's start with Koketso, who's calling from the East Rand. Good morning, Koketso.
Yes, morning, Clement. How are you?
Good, man. Good, yes. Lady. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, you could see yesterday with Zelensky that he has actually eaten humble pie, right? His whole demeanor. Where, I think he thought that America needs Ukraine, and he then learned the hard way to say, actually, everything that's been kept going here is by America. So, Donald Trump, I think the first time, because of obviously the treatment that he gave him, he reminded him to say, hey, buddy, I'm not doing you a favor here. You're not doing us a favor, we're doing you a favor. So you could see that this time he had been coached in terms of his demeanor, like how to approach Trump, how to engage him, because he looked very almost like defeated, like someone eating humble pie. And, it just goes back to also, I think, with us as well, like what happened, right? We also didn't think this thing of the terrorists was going to kick in. We almost called the bluff of America. So, we need to, I think, now enter into a stage of like pragmatic politics where we need to look at, who are our trading partners, and then what does that relationship mean? Because the reality is that if like rightly say it, and that SANDF general is actually not wrong, because I think the generals themselves are getting frustrated with almost like this policy, this diplomatic policy we have, where we speak out of both sides of our mouth. And if you notice now how the world is moving, it's moving to a point where people are aligning in different camps. So I think eventually, inevitably, we will have to make a choice. We can keep on, complaining about it and saying, no, we are friends with everybody. But I think the way things are moving now geopolitically, South Africa will have to sort of reconstitute their foreign policy.
Well, they seem
and
to
actually change it.
Yeah, they seem to have made a decision on the war in the Middle East, right? I mean, they have taken Israel to the ICJ. But if you are going to be a negotiator, Koketso, you can't be seen to be taking a side. In the context of the war in Ukraine, yes, South Africa in the beginning was more, they didn't want to condemn Russia. They were abstaining from votes in the United Nations that were condemning Russia and calling for Russia to withdraw its military from Ukraine. And they said for them that was for strategic reasons. But put that aside, the point I'm trying to make is if you're going to try and position yourself as a negotiator, you can't be seen to be in support of or against. I mean, the reason that Zelensky can come here and take our president seriously in trying to negotiate, that they can accept and welcome our president in Ukraine when he went with other African leaders, and then go to Russia when our president also went there with, and also for Russian president to call our president and say, yo, I had a meeting with Trump, this is how it went, I thought I should give you an update. I think that's a big deal, and that speaks to the positionality of South Africa, particularly in the context of this specific war.
No, you are spot on, Clement, to say that it does help to be, an impartial mediator, right? But I think the thing about the war in Ukraine, especially for me, because I follow these two professors, so Professor Jeffrey Sachs and Professor John Mearsheimer, and they long called how this war was going to play out, to say that Ukraine in the end would have to eat humble pie because Russia is a nuclear power. So the encroachment on Russia's borders was only going to end one way. And this is what you see happening now, And for me, out of all of the commentators that have been, talking about this war, for me, they're the ones that actually made a lot of sense of how this entire thing is going to play out. Where now we are seeing the fact that Russia is a nuclear power. Russia in itself is self-sustaining. So these sanctions as well didn't impact it as heavily as the European leaders had thought. And I don't know if you saw yesterday, Clement, there was a picture online, a photo online circulating of the European leaders outside Trump's office. And it literally looked like small kids being called to the principal's office. It was like laughable.
Yeah.
I'll send you the picture. I'll tag you on WhatsApp, and I'll tag you on X so that you can see the picture. It looked like small children waiting outside to see the principal.
I get you. In fact, there's a conversation I do want to have about the European Union and what Trump's ascendance to office and how he's running things now means for the European Union. I think that's a conversation we should have. I spoke to someone who was just sharing their thoughts yesterday, a former minister, who was sharing their thoughts about this, and I thought that is so key. Like, we're literally, and I know we've been talking about this for a while now, we are witnessing a geopolitical shift, and I can't help but wonder what all of this is going to mean for us in about 5 years' time. It's 20 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thanks, Koketso, for your call.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
Morning, 702. Kamo here from Johannesburg. Yes, Clement, I hear that you are saddened by what's happening with this criminal politician. But, Clement, make no mistake, when these people were doing these things, they were doing them at a level of, I don't care. I don't care what project doesn't happen. I don't care that millions are being looted from the poor that need this money. So why should we sympathize with people that don't care about anything? Why should we care about people that don't sympathize about destroying this country? Why should we sympathize with criminals and saying that they are old? So what, they are old? They were doing those things while they are old. They didn't have the wisdom to say, no, man, this is not appropriate at my age. So I'm happy at what's happening. She must go to jail.
I agree with you. I was frustrated myself. I read you guys, even the WhatsApp messages between her and this businesswoman who has now come out to work. Well, at the time, had come out to work with the state. I don't know where that relationship is now. I was shocked. I was like angry, and I still am. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to separate the two things. I'm saying I'm a compassionate person by nature. If my brother is caught doing something wrong, I want him to be held accountable. Oh, but believe, he is still my brother. And I will be compassionate, and I will have some sympathy towards him. That's the person that I am. But sympathy doesn't mean defending nonsense. I would not defend my brother when he has done something absolutely wrong. In fact, I will be one of those pushing that he must be held accountable. But he's still my brother. And I'm saying, in this case, it's not even someone I'm related to. I'm saying, I'm just a compassionate person like that. I'm being honest with you. That broke my heart. I was like, oh, shame. But at the same time, after saying, shame, I was like, I hope she spends the rest of her life in jail if she's found guilty by the court. Don't get that mixed up. Feeling sorry for you doesn't mean I don't think you should be held accountable.
It's V in Bryanston. Clement, no, the picture of Umama Nosiviwe Mapisa Nqakula breaking down like that was heartbreaking. In fact, for me, every time I've seen her standing on that dock, I've really been heartbroken. It pains me so much. And I do understand that, if she is found to have done what she's accused of having done, I know it is wrong. But I also know that she has spent her life in a culture that that kind of accountability was not really a value. And it's sad. We are not condoning what she is alleged to have done, if she's done it, but still at a human level, that is painful. That's not a sight you would celebrate at seeing, because we are human. After all, it's V in Bryanston.
What Clement? We can all be compassionate, but what about the compassionate towards the citizens of this country? When you commit a crime, you always say there must be consequences. So she must cry and then answer to her thing, to what she's being accused of. Now reality is hitting to say, I am now like the rest of us. We can't be. Also now we must just all let all criminals cry in court, and then we must sympathize with them. How Clement? I feel nothing. No. What about the rest of the people who are struggling on a daily? Nope.
Good morning, Clement. The funny part, I was watching her clips yesterday while she was in Parliament, the arrogance that she was displaying through other members of Parliament, the statements that she was making in her interviews. I don't feel sorry for her. And everyone else, every one of them, if they come through to this situation that she's in, you're going to feel like that, because they sit there as if, they are the victims of something. And these people, most of them are rich at the expense of South Africans. They've terrorized us so many times, these people, without even us seeing where they are coming. They will come for you, these politicians, and when they are sitting there in a box, you feel like they are so vulnerable. Scalams, crooks with smallanyana skeletons in the closet. I don't feel sorry for none of them.
Hey, good morning, Clement. Ke survivor mo Wardville mo. Don't be fooled, Clement. Don't be fooled by the crocodile tears. Nqakula. Those are crocodile tears, Papa. She must face the music. She must face the music. Thank you.
Yeah, I hear you guys. Of course she must. And again, I stress that she must face the music. On YouTube, Nazo says, "Oh, Clement, I cried with Mam Nosiviwe." Yeah, there's some compassionate people out there who will still feel like, "Oh, shame, that's sad." But make no mistake, that's not to say that the person must not be held accountable. It's 13 minutes now before 10 o'clock.
Johannesburg, the Tribute to Women show is here. Join us on the 24th of August at Marks Park in Emerentia as we honor 31 years of democracy and the incredible contributions of women in South Africa. Featuring an all-star lineup, Keisha White, Ami Faku, Thandiswa Mazwai, Loyiso, and more. Get your tickets now at webtickets.co.za. The Tribute to Women show, proudly presented by Sheer Entertainment.
My guy, tell me how date night was.
Bro, I'm telling you, my arrival was too clean. That sporty exterior, the 1.5 turbo engine, just turns heads.
But what about date night?
Yeah, it was chilled. But the Jolly On Pro, it's on another level, bro.
Sometimes the drive is the best part. The Haval Jolion Pro from only $4,299 per month. Visit gwm.co.za for T's and C's. GWM. Go with more. Brought to you by GWM Finance, a division of West Bank, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult day 3,471. Fridays at work used to be great. 3 p.m., laptops off, music on, even a cheeky beer. Now I just sit with Teams open and pray that Monet from Finance doesn't message me at 4:57 p.m.
Hating the corporate 9 to 5? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's easy and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za. Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
It's 10 minutes now before 10 o'clock.
Good morning, Clement Manyathela and 702 listeners. I think the reason why Putin called Ramaphosa to brief him on the events of yesterday is just to ensure that, because ultimately Putin will also have to concede on some of the few things that for this war to end. But he wants to make it as if Cyril Ramaphosa has spoken sense into him. So he's making some compromises so that the war can end. But he's going to let that credit be given to Ramaphosa because it will come as if Ramaphosa spoke sense into Putin. Therefore, elevating both Putin and President Ramaphosa. Thank you.
Really? Is that not clutching at straws? I don't know. But I mean, I hope that's the case, in that Putin is going to end up compromising here so that this war can end. I do hope that there can be credit given to President Cyril Ramaphosa for his own efforts to negotiate with the two leaders, the Ukrainian leader and the Russian leader. I hope so, but Trump doesn't want anything that's not going to elevate himself. I bet you if there's a deal that's going to be signed out there and it doesn't involve Trump, Trump is not going to be happy about that. So I wonder how the Russian president, to use, how you're positioning it, how he would want to do that. Because Donald Trump wants, remember, he wants to be to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. He wants to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. So if he can clinch a deal, because he failed to do it with the war in the Middle East, and I think he's probably given up on that because he realizes that this is bigger than myself, really. This is bigger than himself, because now he has to justify even sometimes nonsense that's so clear, but he has to somehow back it for whatever reason, which is why I've said before, I really have never seen a president who gets presidents of the most powerful countries doing stuff that they themselves can see is wrong, but just so to appease him. Doesn't make sense to me. It's never made sense. You've got presidents of the US who have explained and spoken about how complicated their relationship with the Israeli prime minister was. There are a few of them. Didn't I play you a clip the last time of, who did I play you a clip of? Was it of Clinton? But there have been cases where there's been frustration. Kamala Harris at some point was frustrated. Joe Biden at some point was frustrated. Donald Trump at some point was frustrated. I can go on and on. But I don't know. I think you may be up to something here, that maybe the Russian president wants our president to be given some credit. Should he compromise? Should Putin compromise and end this war in Ukraine? Which would be great for us. It would be great for our president. I don't think if it will change America's view, and by America, I mean, I don't think it will change the Trump administration's view and opinion of us. In fact, they're probably going to hate us more because Trump wants all the credit for himself. That's the kind of leader he is.
Good morning, Clement. This is Sami. I would say Putin's briefing to Ramaphosa about his meeting with Donald Trump, which is a way of telling him, like, you know what, stop this whole thing, you and your government, of being defiant towards the USA and thinking that you guys are on equal grounds. You are not on equal grounds. USA is powerful than you ever imagine. Stop defying them. Stop being nasty towards them and their allies. It's time that you must start playing ball in the same way that in the early 90s, Russia stopped being communist and started embracing capitalism, and ANC found itself in a cold. So that's what happened here.
Dumela Clement and team, Kingsley from Germiston. I think, to return to the White House for President Zelensky after the way he was treated the last time shows a lot of courage, but it also shows how desperate he is to find some sort of resolution to this war. And clearly he's putting his country and its citizens first, because I don't understand why else you would show up at a White House when President Trump has been shown to be untrustworthy and volatile. As for President Putin phoning Ndate Ramaphosa, I think Ndate Ramaphosa, I think you used the word insert earlier, and I think that's exactly what Ndate Ramaphosa has done. How effective he has been and to what extent he holds sway, with other global leaders is yet to be revealed.
Your voice, your station, your open line. Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela on 702.
Clement, I will never ever feel sorry for these politicians. When they were eating money, they were not crying. We were not there. So why now should we feel compassion for Bona? Why should we feel so sorry for Bona? No. She must face the reality. Whatever she has done, she must just take the consequences for it. That's it.
Very good morning, 720 team. Yeah, Clement, I would like to reflect on the corrupt politician, specifically towards this current lady, who is said to have been implicated in corruption. I think it's about time, it's about time whereby each and everyone who thought they were clever as they were stealing or doing corruption. I think it's about time, for them to face the music and pay for what they have done. Yeah, this is Maxwell in Q. No empathy or sympathy, should be given, to those people. Yeah, this is Maxwell in Q. Thank you.
Morning, Clement. Your sadness, I don't know what to say about it. I don't know what to say about your compassion for these former ministers and former presidents, etc. My comment is that these people, they are very powerful when they are still in their positions. I mean, Mapisa Nqakula, when she was a minister of defense, when she was the Speaker of Parliament, untouchable, very powerful. So I don't feel anything for them, Clement. I don't know. I just don't feel anything for them. And for me, my wish is that most of them they should end up like that, because most of them they are corrupt. So I don't feel anything for them, because a lot of them are still going to end up in the same position. Just try and delete those feelings.
I believe people may be misunderstanding Clement. He never suggested that others should feel compassionate for Nosiviwe. However, he immediately expressed his own feelings while still maintaining that if she's guilty, she must face the full hand of law. So I think Ari Lukise, and there's nothing wrong on how he feels. Patong. How's Namosa or Namosa? Unalemosa. Buti Melo's mid-rent.
Thank you, Buti Melo. You should sign a contract. You should be my lawyer. Yeah. So the Bible talks about fruits of the Spirit. And I could be wrong, but one of the fruits of the Spirit, I think, is compassion. And I've always believed that maybe that's like my fruit, like the fruit of the Spirit. Like I've got so much compassion. The other day I'm driving in the morning. I was going to gym very early, like 5:15, and I saw an old woman walking to this house. I think she's a helper, and she clearly starts work really early. And I just started crying from that, because it breaks my heart that there's someone that old who has to traverse and walk at night alone like that to feed her children. I just find that system to be so unfair. And this person probably has children at home that she's unable to care for, but she's going to go care for other people's children. It's the unfairness of the world. So it's things like that. I easily cry. I'm a guy that cries during a movie. So it's me. But don't get it twisted. Nosiviwe must go to jail if she's found guilty.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
My name is Olina, and what I love about 702 is the Clement Manyathela Show. I didn't think that I would see Clement today.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts,
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
Change arrives kicking and screaming. It's challenging, impatient, confusing. Change is a moment of peace. Change is life-affirming. Change is growth. Change is opportunity. We've always believed it's worth investing in. For over 3 decades, we have been committed to seeking out the best investment opportunities for you, wherever they may be. 91. Investing for a world of change. 91 is an authorized FSP.
Sir, ma'am, may I take your order?
Yeah, let me get the New York cut, medium rare, truffle fries on the side, and the lady'll have the salmon. Grilled, not poached. 2 dirty martinis. Real dirty.
Leafy, what's with the voice?
Oh, I came over all Tony Soprano.
Get into character on a city break with Premier Hotels and Resorts. Stay Friday and Saturday and get Sunday night for free. Book now at premierhotels.co.za.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The Competition Commission will defend its powers to prosecute banks accused of manipulating the rand as a 4-day hearing gets underway at the Constitutional Court this morning. A total of 28 local and international financial institutions, including Nedbank, Standard Bank and First Rand, were accused by the Commission of rigging the rand between 2007 and 2013. The watchdog says the banks colluded in a private online chat room to fix rand-dollar trades. Mungezi Koko reports.
Last year, the Competition Appeal Court threw out the case against most of the banks, leaving only 4 for the Commission to pursue. It ruled that there wasn't enough evidence and that South African authorities lacked jurisdiction over the implicated foreign banks. Today, the Commission is back at the Apex Court, seeking to widen the net, arguing that 13 international banks can be held accountable because their actions impacted the rand and local economy. 2 of the 4 banks that remain in the dock are also appealing to have their names cleared, setting the stage for a complex legal battle over the next 4 days. Mungezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
The Palm Ridge Magistrates Court is today set to hear the bail application of 3 men accused of killing former IFP Member of Parliament Ketamabala Stole. Stole was shot during a ward meeting in Katlehong in May. 2 other IFP members were also seriously injured during the shooting. Tabiso Goba reports.
Kethokuhle Sithole, Ntando Ximba and Beokuhle Sithole are alleged to be behind the assassination of Ketamabala Sithole. Despite the same surname, the 2 accused shooters do not share any relation with the deceased parliamentarian. The matter was postponed last week to give the defense lawyers time to prepare the bail applications. Sipho Sithole, Ketamabala's older brother, previously told EWN the family is concerned about the possibility of the alleged killers being released on bail.
There's a
lot of fear over the fact that not all the suspects have been caught by police. His children and wives should be here, but they are scared to come. That's why it's us, who are a bit older, that are following this case.
Police are still on the hunt for one other suspect believed to be linked to this case. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
KwaZulu-Natal government officials have committed to helping with funeral arrangements of an e-hailing driver who was killed at Maponya Mall in Soweto. Mthokozisi Mvelase was shot and set on fire inside his car last week while on duty. It's understood he recently joined the e-hailing business after relocating to Johannesburg from KZN. His family has appealed for help to give him a dignified funeral. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
Mthokozisi Mvelase's family in Tlungwane outside Ulundi says they are still shocked by his death because he was trying to provide for himself and his loved ones. His mother was hospitalized as she battled with the pain of losing her only son. Yesterday, officials from the Provincial Social Development Department visited the grieving family, where MEC Mbalishinga said the death has left community members with questions.
Mthokozisi is known as a young man of peace and respectful in the community. So they are just wondering what really caused this whole thing.
Shinga says her department will reach out to other partners to help with funeral arrangements. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News.
And Palestinian armed group Hamas has informed mediators that it has approved the latest Gaza ceasefire proposal and is ready to resume negotiations to discuss ending Israel's war. The proposal is believed to include a temporary cessation of military operations for 60 days, during which the Israeli army will relocate to allow the entry of humanitarian aid. Half of the 50 Israeli captives will be exchanged for Palestinian prisoners within the same time frame. Over the past 2 years, Hamas has accepted proposals for a ceasefire and the release of Israeli captives and Palestinian prisoners, only for Israel to reject them and insist on continuing with the war. The Israeli military has now killed more than 62,000 Palestinians and threatens further mass displacement and man-made starvation. More than 1,200 people were killed in Hamas attacks and 251 held hostage by the group in October 2023. Gold is trading at $3,338.35 an ounce. The rand is at 17.65 to the dollar, 23.83 to the pound, 20.57 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.20 a barrel.
And in the traffic and fourways, we've got an accident reported on Winnie Mandela Drive. It's right near Leslie Avenue. It's causing delays. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling not far from the scene, we've got roadworks taking place along Cedar Road, approaching Uranium Street. They're also causing delays. Please be on the lookout for men and women working the road.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 23 and 24 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the Competition Commission will defend its powers to prosecute banks accused of manipulating the rand as a 4-day hearing gets underway at the Constitutional Court.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko. Your vote is not just a click. It's a thank you, a nod, a way of saying we see you. Vote for your favorite local business now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. Always appreciate your comments and your inputs on the 702 open line. Remember, we're going to have a conversation at 11 o'clock on our World of Work feature, discussing how to make work environments more friendly to mothers. And then at 11:30, on our health and wellness feature, we'll be discussing belly fat and how to lose it. I know a lot of you will be tuning in because it's exactly what you're struggling with. Join the club. 8 minutes now after 10.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
Right now, we start our conversation with the new Minister of Higher Education, Buti Manamela, to have a broader conversation about issues in higher education. Minister Manamela, welcome back to... You haven't been to this building, have you?
No.
You haven't.
This is my first time. You guys are living large here.
Everybody says that when they come here. We just have the best studios you can think of. But thank you for coming. Welcome to 702. And once again, congratulations on your appointment as Minister of Higher Education. There's a lot for us to talk about. So I want us to get on with it. And I want to start maybe with the issue of SETAs. I've seen that that's something that you want to look at. You want to look at perhaps the redesigning of those SETAs so that they deliver measurable values. Can you just explain what you mean by that? Are you happy with the value that the SETAs provide, and what do you think needs to change?
Look, in as far as both policy and legislation requirements goes, and also in as far as the targets that we've set onto SETAs, I mean, they're doing very good work. Yes, there are, one or two of the SETAs which have faced some challenges in meeting their performance targets, but that's something that we'll have to work on. Mm-hmm. But as it relates to completely changing what they need to do, that's what's urgent. And I think I don't agree that we need to be preparing a funeral for SETAs. I actually believe that we need to be re-engineering the role of SETAs within the post-school education and training system. Our view is that we are building a system wherein SETA's role is not just to supply the money, and which is not what they do, by the way. I mean, there's a whole lot of other things that they do. But I think beyond supplying money, the link between the post-school education and training sector with industry has to be one of their major role because that's exactly what they've been, created for. So we're going to have to go to basics as it relates to that, so that anybody who, receives training that has been sponsored or paid for by sector education and training authorities have a link with industry and almost a better chance of getting employment. So we'll have to get that policy right. And I'm very excited that most of the SETAs have already taken this up, by beginning to rethink how they're going to maximize impact based on the resources that they have. So that's the first thing in terms of, the skills component. But the second one is that I've already asked them to look at ways within which they can collaborate, either based on sectors, or based on, the constituencies that they serve. And I think we can, if coordinated properly, save a lot of resources because we said to them, accelerate your partnerships in terms of human resource, in terms of financial management, in terms of IT systems, and so on and so forth, because you're basically doing the same thing. And we also need a common bargaining platform, for instance. So that's the second level wherein we want to see SETAs collaborate. The third level is for them to champion programs that help us bring career services to especially scholars at an early age so that they decide what they're going to study. Secondly, help us resolve the not in employment, not in education youth. Not in training youth, which is now way above 4 million. And lastly, help us deal with functional literacy amongst adults. So those would be the three major programs that we will be driving as a ministry together with SETAs and our department.
When you talk about career services at an early age, are you looking at career guidance?
Yes, career guidance, definitely. Okay. One of the major reasons why there is a low uptake for TVET programs, and yes, the numbers are quite high comparatively speaking to what happened 10 years ago, but we're not presenting those options early on. And that's why people want to be lawyers, because they see Ngokai Toby and Dalimpof on television. So we need to promote trades. If we are going to succeed in ramping up TVET colleges and also in ramping up community colleges, so careers we basically refer to that, getting them early.
I'm really excited about that because I come from a village where I remember when we were in grade 12, many of us didn't know what we wanted to do. If anything, we just applied. I applied for biological sciences of vets. I didn't even know what that is about, but it just sounded fancy and it sounded like I'm going to get a lot of money and live in Sandton because that was what we wanted to achieve at the time. And part of the reason was that there was no even a career guidance at my school. And I think especially for these far-flung areas, the students there who end up going to find opportunities for themselves are the smartest, the ones who get 9 A's and either they're going to actuaries or they're going to be doctors or they're going to go into engineering, but the higher levels of engineering. So I'm really excited about that because I think there's space for, especially in the rural areas, for children to be told about the opportunities that exist.
Exactly. Look, one of the reasons why we have why we have dropouts is because I'm sitting like you in a rural area, in rural Modimolle, and I'm thinking, so I want to be a biological scientist. And my second option becomes what? Theology. And you see, there's no relationship between the two. So people drop out because we really don't know what we want to do, or we don't think that which we want to do is available in the market. And so that's why we're going to strengthen career development so that we limit the number of dropouts, but also so that people are linked to skills that are in high demand. And that's how we're going to, insist on, universities, our TVET colleges and community colleges, that we have to invest our resources on skills that are in high demand. Secondly. Thirdly, yes, emphasis on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But we, I was saying earlier in the week in one of the conversations we're having on the media that, I don't understand why okay, there is no skill that's useless. If you have a skill, that skill is important. All that we have to do as the Department of Higher Education and Training is to ensure that there's the right balance of skills that will meet, the needs, especially of our economy and of our communities. And what do I mean by that? I get into conversations where people say, yeah, but you're training a lot of human resources. Yes, we need human resources. Yes, we need to help recruit proper people right for the job, and the person who does that have to be trained for that. As to whether we need 2 million human resource personnel, that's something else. And so we have to redirect the supply side so that it meets the demand. And so one of the things which we said we're going to do, and hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks we'll be ready to make the announcement of a team of people who are going to help us rethink and re-engineer the post-school education and training system, but not only to plan for the coming 5 years, but to look in 2030, 2040, 2050, and imagine what kind of a post-school education and training sector we want to see, at that time. And so, a key to this will be what are the things that we need to do to reorganize the size and shape of higher education, so that yes, still continue with university education, but have bigger TVET colleges and even bigger community colleges. And that's the only way within which we can, provide skills for the community. But that will have to take place, through a conversation. So we're going to we'll have to rebuild the trust and social contract with communities, that this is exactly what we demand as a community in terms of skills from you guys. And this is what we want to see as the return on investment. Because as of now, I think that connection between higher education, the department, the ministry, and the people who are expecting these services from us, has somewhat been on the decline.
Okay, we'll talk about TVET colleges in a moment. But when you look at, the many skills being offered are not meeting economic demand, as you say. So how are you planning to facilitate that meaningful curriculum revision, especially for emerging sectors like the green economy, and even digital skills? What kind of conversations are you having? What do you think is missing there? Yeah. Do you think that the problem is at perhaps the basic education level, where there's a conversation needed there around our curriculum? Or are you also concerned about what the universities currently are offering, and whether or not actually those are the jobs for the future?
Yeah. So it's a multiplicity of interventions. I've already had conversations with the Minister of Basic Education. We've agreed on a much more detailed discussion because they are the supply side for the post-school education and training sector. And so if we say ultimately we want to produce skills for an industrializing economy, for instance, we have to have maths and science kids coming from school and being put into universities. So that's the first conversation we'll have to to unlock. The second one is we have to have a conversation much strongly with business and with industry. If someone is going to do electrical engineering and they haven't seen an electricity box, what's the use of just reading about it when it is such a practical thing? And so you can only get that opportunity of seeing that electric box when you go into industry, if you give an exposure. So we'll have to strengthen that conversation with industry, so that part of what we're introducing next year, which is occupational trades, which are specifically going to prepare students for a specific trade. So, you're going to be a plumber, and that's what we're training you for. So, in the olden days or with the old curriculum, you read about what a plumber does. So with the new occupational trades, you're basically going to do, what a plumber does. So that's the second intervention, where business helps us to absorb these kids. And thirdly, then introduction of our occupational trades. And I think finally, we're going to have to strengthen the supply, so that the skills which we provide other skills which are needed, and so strengthen our research. So SEs now, we have what SETAs do, which is determine what the labor market needs from time to time and structure our training based on that. So we'll also have to strengthen that, that element. So those are, I think, the 4 interventions which will help us, to prepare a graduate that would be ready for employment, that would almost start working whilst they're still attending, their classes. That's the ideal situation we want to see.
Yeah, because there are some graduates who have degrees now that they're like, they're now going back to university to try and find other courses that actually are going to respond to what the economy demands.
Yeah.
Let's talk about TVET colleges.
Some of them are actually going back to, are going into TVET colleges.
Yeah.
Some graduates, and I think so we have we've asked a team of people to think about how we can resolve this. Kids who couldn't complete but who dropped out in their 3rd year. That's a waste that we need to convert into qualifications, and how we can repurpose some of those. So that's one of the things which very soon I think we're going to have to say, what do we do with those?
Because there are skills that they attained over the last 2 years before they drop out of 3 years.
Exactly.
So TVET colleges. You said earlier on that there are more people, more numbers comparatively compared to previously. I would have thought that we're seeing less and less people coming into TVET colleges.
Well, not at all. In fact, the reason why there has been a decline is not because of the demand. It is because we've basically been underfunding both TVET colleges and community colleges, and so that has to change. So we have to put our money where our policies and our aspirations are, and that has to go to TVET colleges. And why I was saying that there's a lot of excitement, it's in terms of the demand. But, I was reading, someone was, on the Daily Maverick, one of the professors from VETS was saying that we shut down TVET colleges and we reduced them from 153 to 50. We actually have more delivery sites of TVET colleges now compared to 1994, almost double.
What are delivery sites?
Campuses. So yes, the number of colleges were reduced to 50
from 153.
From 153.
Jeez.
But the campuses has not reduced. So what we basically did was to merge in I think around 2006, 2007, a couple of the colleges, so that each college can have 8 campuses.
Oh, I see.
7-8 campuses. So we haven't reduced the number of campuses. We only reduced the number of colleges by name. So that's basically what happened. At the time, TVET colleges were about 150,000 or so students. At most, the capacity of the system that we have now is about 750,000. And so we've got to get money to redirect, into those spaces. TVET colleges will help us resolve some of the major problems with unemployed graduates.
How do you change the perception, though? Because, as the department, you've been echoing this message of these institutions being a viable options for so long now, but doesn't look like it's being heard, because some people still think universities are like the gold standard.
Yeah. Well, it's so the South African skills system has been created in such a way that it serves the elite and it attracts people into these elite professions. And I think we need to change that. We need to, and that's why I emphasize career development services. Earlier, that we need to change the attitude of kids towards certain trades. And if we say to someone, plumbers and much more than a deputy minister or a minister. Well, I haven't yet been paid as a minister, so I don't know that. But as a deputy minister, a plumber actually makes much more than that.
A South African plumber,
a South African plumber.
Really?
Yes. And more than some of the other professions. So So that's where we redirect. So that's the kind of message that we're driving. Relooking at our artisan development program to try and amplify in terms of advocacy to send out the message. We're working very closely with life orientation teachers, to try and make sure that they also send the message, at that level. So that's how we're getting to, and then we've encouraged TVET colleges to have open days where people see, this thing, and hopefully also orbit TVET colleges, which are the new kid on the Premier League, will help us fly the TVET, flag very high. But it's about us consistently being intentional in emphasizing the message that universities are not the be-all. And what I'm happy about was when I had our meeting with the university vice chancellors, and 80% of that discussion was about how do we use the capacity we've developed in universities to transfer that into making TVET colleges a better space.
Because even the universities just don't have enough capacity.
Oh, no, of course, yes.
And speaking of the universities, I mean, they've expressed their willingness to get involved in strengthening TVET education to produce work-ready and modern economy-suited graduates. What contribution do they think they can make? And are you also talking to the private sector?
Yes. So universities, I mean, we have in the country universities that are, more than 150 years old. So that's a very strong tradition. We've said to the University of South Africa already that we want to start conversations with them around starting an online or digital TVET college for those programs where you may not necessarily need intensive, workplace exposure. Secondly, all the universities have indicated their interest to partner with TVET colleges around, research and development, and I think it's an area that we need to strengthen as the department so that we deal with it. We cannot expect TVET college students and the TVET college system to innovate if they do not have research capacity. So that's part of the partnership. And then thirdly, universities have to help us train, better lecturers, for TVET colleges. That work has already been done through partnership between, TVET colleges, our department, and various universities. So I think that, that's quite helpful. But finally, we have to have a system that articulates, meaning that if you move from a school into a TVET college, you should be able to move either to work or to a university to further study. Those cases are there, but those cases are very few, where one starts, his engineering studies at a TVET college with National Certificate Vocational and complete at PhD level. So if the movement within the system can be easier, I think universities would have played a crucial role in helping us, let TVET colleges be seen as what they are.
Okay, before we get to the headlines, I want you to touch on NSFAS.
Yeah.
Because there are systematic issues at NSFAS, and I know the focus is also on the leadership, but some of the issues are not going to be resolved with just new leadership. They are too systematic. We are also dealing with an issue where a new minister, every time there's a new minister, there's a new CEO.
Yeah.
It's like in the police. A police minister wants their own police commissioner, which then actually is where the situation gets messed up because of allegiances and someone else who comes wants their own people. What do you think you're going to do to try and resolve the systematic challenges at NSFAS, especially because government really is still underfunding NSFAS? And without that funding and capacitating it, then you're not really going to resolve.
Yeah. Look, firstly, I think we must play the role we should play as the department, which is policy and oversight of the NSFAS, and allow the NSFAS to be able to make decisions in terms of operations, in terms of their digital system, which I think is where they need to improve, in terms of their accounting systems. I'm shivering when I think of what the AG is going to say about the NSFAS in terms of their finances, but also in terms of governance and their capacity at senior management level. And that's where we're going to, have to play that oversight role. And my conversation with a whole lot of people have told me that, have indicated that part of the bigger problems at NSFAS has been as a result of political interference. Whether that's true or not, that's something else. But it's something that I'm taking to heart because I believe that our role as government, as it relates to the disbursement of funds to the NSFAS, has to primarily be that of policy and oversight, and let the NSFAS, which is what it was created for, to dispense resources. The second thing is that NSFAS has inherited functions which are not supposed to be theirs. And we'll have to relook at the organization and what it does and what it provides to students and what is it that is at the nucleus of its role, and whether some of the things that they've assumed as roles, they should continue doing that.
Like what?
For instance, accommodation, student accommodation. Yes, NSFAS must be interested where the students, where they pay the room, whether that room is worth the money that is being said. But, how does it go beyond that? Why does it go beyond that? So those are some of the questions which we should.
Because I think they owe
some of the questions that we need to ask, and how that function relates to what universities do. Then the third thing, which is quite exciting that they briefed me about, is the discussion they're having with universities to have the old financial aid offices being resuscitated on campuses, and to look at how we can serve, TVET colleges, which is a completely different niche market. In the long run, we have to think about how we can create a sustainable student funding model. I said at the press conference that I am not the minister of NSFAS. That's not my role. My role is much bigger than NSFAS. And for us to not spend as much time as we are currently doing, which is basically listening to what the problems are at NSFAS, is to make sure that we stabilize it, at least within the next 3 months, on all of those key areas, and then start a serious conversation about how we can have sustainable student funding into the future.
All right, I've got some more questions about NSFAS, some follow-ups there, but we'll get to them after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. It's 10:33. I'll give you an opportunity as well if you've got questions for the Minister of Higher Education, Buti Manamela. I see some of your comments on YouTube. I'll come to your calls on 011-883-0702, your WhatsApps as well on 072-702-1702. Sfiso, hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. President Cyril Ramaphosa has officially raised the limit for private donations to political parties to 30 million rand a year. He's acted on a resolution taken by the National Assembly in May after a revision of the limits and the threshold for declaring donations by Parliament's Home Affairs Committee. Like the donation limit, the declaration threshold has also been doubled to 200,000 rand. The Palm Beach Magistrates Court is today set to hear the bail applications of 3 men accused of killing former IFP Member of Parliament Clement Manyathela Show. Stole was shot during a ward meeting in Katlehong in May. 2 other IFP members were also seriously injured during that shooting. And KwaZulu-Natal government officials have committed to helping with funeral arrangements of an e-hailing driver who was killed at Maponya Mall in Soweto. Mthokozi Mvelase was shot and set on fire inside his car last week while on duty. It's understood he recently joined the e-hailing business after relocating to Johannesburg from KZN. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, traveling in the city of Tshwane, we've got some delays. Montana Park, this is along the Sefako-Makgatho Drive, just as you approach the N1. And speaking of the N1, an accident reported there near Sefako-Makgatho exit, and it's already causing delays. So if you're traveling in the city of Tshwane, please be on the lookout there and try to avoid. Well, in Bedfordview, some delays on the N3 North. This is between Van Buren Road and the Kilulis interchange, and that's due to roadworks taking place along this route. I see delays also on the R24 West approaching the Kilulis interchange. While traveling towards Amalgam, we've got delays on the M2 West. This is just towards Main Rift Road. Please be on the lookout there, as well as on the Golden Highway. Remember those long-term roadworks taking place, and they are causing delays between the N1 and Union Avenue. Please drive with care. I'll have your next traffic update at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Hi everyone, I'm Dean McPherson, the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. Since I was appointed just over a year ago, we've laid a firm foundation in the department, and after tabling our 7.6 billion rand budget for growth, we're now turning plans into action. That means that we're moving government departments into our own state-owned buildings to save you billions of rands in rent. We're unlocking public land to build affordable housing, create shelters for victims of gender-based violence, and to boost food production. We're also tackling corruption head-on without fear or favor. And we're giving young South Africans real opportunities through a reformed EPWP program that focuses on skills and long-term jobs. And this is only the beginning. With your support, we're building a capable and professional department that delivers infrastructure, creates jobs, and puts public assets to work for the public good. The best is yet to come because we're building a better country for you, brick by brick.
At the heart of global conversations shaping our future, Africa's voice is more important than ever. As proud lead sponsor of the B20, the Standard Bank Group is honored to showcase the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Because driving Africa's growth isn't just our ambition, it's our purpose. Tune in every Monday from 3 p.m. for the Standard Bank B20 in brief for key insights and updates around the B20. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
It's that time of the year. Sneezing, itchy, watery eyes, blocked noses and coughs. It's time to live, work, play and sleep allergy-free. For trusted relief for you and your family this allergy season, ask your pharmacist for the Adcock Ingram OTC Allergy Survival Pack. With products like Allergex Non-Drowsy, Cetacid, Levogex and more, we have you covered. Remember, Adcock Ingram OTC. And visit beprepared365.co.za.
The Festival of Motoring, powered by Westbank, brings the spirit of Ubuntu to the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit from the 29th to the 31st of August. Experience thrilling track drives, 4x4 adventures, drifting, supercar hot laps, and F1 demos. Get your tickets on Howler and use the promo code RADIO for a special discount. The Festival of Motoring, the power of new.
They opened their doors before sunrise, stayed up late, showed up. Now they've made it to the finals of Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko because of you. But they're not done yet. Your vote that could make them Gauteng's greatest. Go to primemediaplus.com now to cast it. Because support isn't just spoken, it's action. And your vote is a standing ovation for the Corner Cafe with the big dreams, the local legend who never gave up, the startup that's changing the game. Gauteng's greatest award with 702, powered by Yoko. Let Yoko Counter fuel your business to greatness. Go to yoko.com to explore the new point of sale solution, saving hundreds of businesses time and money.
702.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Let's walk the talk.
20 minutes before 11 o'clock, we're in conversation with Buti Manamela, who's the Minister of Higher Education and Training. We've already had a discussion about SETAs, a little bit about NSFAS. We'll get more into that. We also spoke about SETAs, NSFAS, the redesigning of the post-education system and working with of course, the higher education sector. We spoke about TVET colleges. I want to give you an opportunity now to give your inputs, to ask questions if you've got any on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Let's start with Tiani, who's calling us from Pretoria. Tiani, good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Good morning, Minister.
Morning.
My question is on entrepreneurial mindset development for university graduates. And I am biased because I teach at a university. So, Minister, I'm a research candidate, and my research focused on how we develop an entrepreneurial mindset in university graduates across the disciplines. So in light of that, I'd like to know how you envision this as primarily a university-led initiative where each institution crafts its own approach, or should the department, DHET that is, take a more active role in setting a national policy framework to ensure that there is consistent support? And also, given that university might operate in silos, what kind of support or coordination do you, as a department, plan to offer to help integrate the cross-disciplinary entrepreneurial efforts effectively?
So to incorporate entrepreneurship across the board. But Tiandi, there are more and more universities are taking that up, eh? Or are you asking the minister more around how do you coordinate, like how do you help coordinate that and have a conversation about that?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by more and more universities doing it, because if you look at the implementation across disciplines, so it's not only looked at an activity or an entrepreneur, a module that is only done by students who are in the business discipline.
Okay, I see.
A student in engineering, a student in humanity, a student, because these are the students, whether they go and become entrepreneurs or not, you need to develop the entrepreneurial mindset, because even corporate need people who are able to think in that way, creatively, more critically. So those skills will not only help them start businesses, but it just helps them overall. But in the context of the South Africa that you live in, we need more entrepreneurs.
Got you, Tiani. Thank you so much for that. I think that makes more sense, because I was about to say that the institutions I know of, I go to Gibbs, and I know Gibbs offers that. I think VETs, there are other institutions that have taken that up, but I get what you mean. I'll get the minister to respond in a moment. Let's go to Benny in Braamfontein. Benny, what do you want to say? Hi.
Hi, Clement and the minister. The minister, you said earlier on that those three students who dropped out of the university at third-year level is a waste. So that must be converted into something, maybe a certificate of some sort. My question now to you, Minister, how do you say that to my cousin, who for the past 6 years, she completed out of her own pocket a diploma in public management with one of the TVET colleges, and the problem is where she is working, it is not a government institution, it's an NGO, and then on the basis of that, they are saying she will not be able to do what? To graduate for that. So the department will not release that certificate up until she gets an internship from the government institution, which will set her back because it will therefore mean that if she is earning 15,000 rand per month at the NGO, then she has to go back to the government, which is going to give you a stipend of 3,000.
Why is the college prescriptive, Benny, on where this person must get experience? Because experience is experience, right?
No, they say you must get an experience. So she has completed, and out of her own pocket, unfortunately. So why is our government doing this into our own people? I went to the University of the Northern Cape. I was thrown into the deep end. I went straight to work, and why can't they just release? I mean, this person, for heaven's sake, is not owing any thanks to the department, but they are holding on the certificate, and it's not only her. So the department must look into that. It is not fair.
Got it. Benny in Braamfontein, thank you so much for your call. Minister?
Look, I mean, if Benny's sister can show that after completion of the formal program, they went into a work-based placement, and that work-based placement is is something that was linked to what they were studying, and that fulfills their requirements. I think that's all. Whether it's done in an NGO or in a government institution and all of that, as long as what you are gaining experience on is what you studied, and that's why that's what completes a diploma. And I think we'll leave numbers for Benny to call so that we see how we sort that out. Secondly, I agree with Tiani fully, and some of those points that she's mentioning, government has already started doing. We are making sure that all students, most students, get to study either new venture creation or entrepreneurship, and so on and so forth. We believe that, and I think as per the National Development Plan, that 11 million of the jobs have to be created from small, macro, and medium enterprises, and we can only, succeed in that task if we consciously intentionally train young people, to become entrepreneurship. We get our research. We have the South African Research Chair Institute, one of them based at VETS, which is focusing on entrepreneurship education and which constantly provides us with policy briefs that guides, our implementation of entrepreneurial education. So I fully agree with Diane, and I think it's something that we'll have to take it up, probably also at a coordination level.
Yeah. Solomon in Johannesburg. Hi.
Thank you very much. And Honourable Minister, good morning, and thank you very much for giving us the time to chat to you. Just 3 points very quickly. The one on the re-engineering, I believe there's about 21 SETAs at the moment, and I think that they need to be reformatted. They're not taking into consideration digital convergence as well as convergence of professions in the built environment and in the digital space and some of the other areas. So I think the traditional look of trying to have these SETAs which were engineered like 2 decades ago definitely needs to be reconsidered. The second issue is the revenue leakage in these SETAs. The reality is that you've got each of these have, if there's 21 of them, you've got 21 regional offices sitting in each and every single province, which doesn't make sense. That revenue leakage could be plugged in through a single one-stop shop for SETAs in the regional offices to be able to deal with this. The third point that I would like to make on the re-engineering, unfortunately in the SETAs on the training, we have spoken to some of the SETAs, for example, of using blockchain as a technology, both from a training side as well as from those that are being on the trainee side to manage that, because we know the fees are being paid to ghost training colleges or to ghost trainees, and as part of that, using blockchain as an alternative would really nip that in the bud. And at the same time, with the blockchain, you can then create a digital ID or a digital wallet for each learner, and that can then capture their information going forward. So those are technologies that need to be accommodated within that. And then the last issue, which is a sad issue, Minister, unfortunately, is the placements that are taking place at universities at the moment. It's no longer just a case of having the right scorecard, but unfortunately, you're having gatekeepers at these institutions that are now asking payments for places at the universities as well. So I think that fraud also needs to be sorted out, and I think that's a critical issue where many kids are not getting the opportunity because of the gatekeeping that's taking place. And it's said some of the higher positions or professions that people want to yearn to, people need to pay anything up to 25,000 rand to get their kids in. That's incorrect, Minister.
That's crazy. I didn't even know.
Yeah. I've had few cases that we had to deal with that we've referred to specific universities to resolve. Some of them were false claims, but some of them were found to be right, and the people who were found guilty were prosecuted. Firstly, secondly, I agree with everything that Solomon mentioned. I agree that we need stronger coordination of SETAs in terms of their resources. I've already spoken, to that. I also agree with him, and I already spoken to it about SETAs basically, coordinating amongst themselves and amongst sectors, and also around blockchain, and not only for SETAs, but for the entire post-school education and training authorities. We've got to be having our qualification here. If you want it, I can send it to you. If you want it verified, we should be able to do that. So I fully agree with him, and I think it would be interesting to talk further with Solomon on some of the ideas that he's raised, because so part of the discussions we want to have with legislation amendments is, and I know most of the vice chancellors are concerned that we want to focus on their autonomy. That's not the discussion. The discussion is, how do we take advantage of the fourth or fifth industrial revolution in making our post-school education and training sector effective, and what legislative changes do we need to effect for that to happen?
Yeah. Should I put you in touch with Solomon?
Yes.
Solomon, I'll put you back to the producers, and then we'll get the producers to get you in touch with the minister's team.
Just write down that stuff.
The contact. All right. It's 10 minutes now before 11 o'clock.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Johannesburg has a deep well of talent. Whether you're talking business, you're talking politics and so on, and yet it is falling apart. If Helen is a viable candidate for mayor of Joburg, they themselves have capitulated. South Africa's problem and its decline is that people don't want to step forward and save the country from disaster.
Songezo Zibi, we have a leadership crisis in South Africa. We need younger people to step up, and that in light of the argument that he makes there around Helen Zille.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
62 million rand in total estimated Powerball and Powerball Plus jackpots could see you rolling in the millions this Tuesday. Don't miss out. Play Powerball for an estimated 21 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 41 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120*7529# for USSD. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
The unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates' timeless wisdom reminds us of the power of introspection. At Plus 94 Research, we delve deep into data, uncovering insights that drive meaningful decisions. Our scientific methodologies transform questions into clarity. Don't just operate, understand. Don't just guess, know. Plus 94 Research, the science of decision making.
Meet the new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7, re-engineered to be our thinnest and lightest foldable yet. Move with confidence, powered by an ultra-sleek, ultra-slim design that adapts wherever life takes you. Open your world to expansive screens, seamlessly crafted for work and play. It's innovation that fits your pocket. Upgrade to the new Galaxy Z Fold 7 and get double the storage on us. Hurry, offer ends 31 August. T's and C's apply.
Do you know what's hiding behind the colorful packaging of unhealthy food? Big food companies target children with unhealthy packaged foods that hide high levels of sugar, salt, and fat, which could lead to heart disease, diabetes, and hypertension. But the truth is hidden from consumers. Front of package warning labels are a proven solution to help consumers make informed decisions. The government must act now. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front of package warning labels. Sign the petition on heala.org, HEALA.org, by the 30th of September.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
How worried are you about the U.S. investigations into MTN in Afghanistan and sort of Iran?
What we announced to the market is that we've received a request for information from the Department of Justice. We're voluntarily cooperating with them. They have not accused us of any wrongdoing. And we felt that, because of the position that we hold, we would engage them, and we've engaged also with the SA authorities.
Ralph Mapita, the Group CEO at MTN.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA CIB, backing the Ideas Fund by advancing capital to African infrastructure investment managers. Your story matters. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
6 minutes before 11 o'clock. Let's go to your voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Good morning, Clement and 702 listeners. Also, good morning to the minister. Yeah, I teach at one of the CETs in Gauteng, which is Community Education and Training Colleges, which is under the Department of Education. I would like to know, what is the minister going to do to transform this sector? At this sector, we are hired as lecturers. We teach fractional hours, which is 3 hours a day. There is no development of educators, no workshops, no resources like from ATPs, work schedules, especially for those educators who are teaching grade 12. So I'd like to know, what is the Department of Higher Education doing to transform this sector? First, we want full-time employment, not 3 hours. Thank you. I'd like to remain anonymous.
Good morning. Please ask there on my behalf, specifically from Minister, as to, isn't there anything that can be done, or isn't there any measures perhaps that can be put in place in terms of ensuring that subsequent the completion of a particular qualification, it could be at a varsity level or at a college level. Isn't there anything perhaps that can be done to make sure that subsequent having attained or acquired all those qualifications, the chances of you to be employed can be enhanced, because of it's quite challenging and pestering, having to study harder, and subsequent to that, when you have to find job, you are being told of the lack of experience, etc., etc. Yeah, this is Maxwell in
Understand?
Yeah. Firstly, I mean, so over the last 12 months or so, I've been working very closely with the community colleges sector. So that's the old adult schools. And we've been on a program. This was the 10th anniversary of the community college sector. So we've agreed that the focus now has to be on rebranding, the community college, so that they have this distinct but part of the PSAT, sector. Secondly, that we have to introduce programs and qualifications that attract, especially young people who are not in education, employment and training. So, we'll be introducing the national adult, the national senior certificate for adults, NASCA, which will be linked with a skills program. And then there's going to be an elaborate training of lecturers. Now, the lecturers at community college is one of the biggest problems we have. The sector has 150,000 students with 12,000 lecturers. And, the lecturer who called Anonymous says that, they work for 3 hours. There are some lecturers who are still on the payroll who actually do not see any student at all for the whole year. So and it's not their problem. It's not their problem. It's a problem that was inherited when these lecturers moved into from schools into community colleges, and most of them are mostly just qualified as teachers for specific programs. So we have to repurpose an entire core of 12,000 lecturers for them to be able to provide the skills that would be relevant to link the people that they'll be training to employment. So that's a conscious program that we're intending to. So it will involve a whole lot of things. Natural attrition, letting some of them, retire, encourage some of them to adapt into technological training programs that we're going to be engaging into. So there's a whole set of interventions that we, are looking for. This is, an important sector. We were in Colombia, and they have, one of similar institution that absorbs about 8 million people from the ages of 15 to the ages of 65, 70. If you want to learn how to cook, you should be able to go to a community college. If you want to learn how to spray paint a car, you should be able to go to a community college. So that's the kind of institution that we need to build. And we cannot do that only with teachers who can just teach maths and science. We will have to give them additional skills for them to be able to train. So this is going to be one of the anchors of the post-school education.
When you say there are some that are being paid, is it at the community level? Is it because they don't have those skills that you're talking about, the teachers?
Yes. So it's because the number of students is extremely low. So these are the things which we're providing now at community colleges. So I'm sure you've heard of second chances. So if you fail your matric, you get to that, and then they deal with adult basic education and training levels. So your if you can't read and write and you need to progress, and then they will have programs such as pine gel making. They'll have programs such as fixing a car, spray painting, and so on. So some of the teachers do not have the capacity to be able to train people in those areas, and that's the point which we want to to address. And I'm happy that he's raising that as one of their challenges.
Okay.
And then what was your the second caller?
I think you covered everything.
I covered everything. Okay.
I think so.
Okay, great. Yeah.
All right. Minister Buti Manamela, thank you so much for coming through. Truly appreciate your time.
Thank you so
it's
much.
11 o'clock.
Thanks, sure.
Mom, Dad, you're not going to believe this.
What's up, bud?
Luke's family has a kitchen.
Okay.
Like a real one, with knives and a sink for dishes. His mom was just standing there, making food with her hands. There was a fridge full of vegetables, even broccoli.
Not broccoli.
Oh, the horror. Who needs a kitchen? Simply spend 200 Rand or more and you could win Simply Asia for a year. T's and C's apply. Simply Asia, connecting the Thai way.
Outsurance has simply had their best results. Outsurance scored 9.99 on their Hello Peter Trust Index, a near 5-star rating on Google reviews, and have outperformed their personal best on the number of complaints per 1,000 claims referred to the Ombudsman. Switch to the insurer that keeps raising the bar on low prices, service and trust. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za today. You always get something out. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
My family's struggling with snotty noses and phlegmy coughs.
Oh no! Have you tried ACC?
ACC 600 is a convenient one-a-day effervescent tablet from 14 years of age. Or now also in a no-water-needed, fruity-flavored sherbet-like granules that dissolve in your mouth. Ideal for the on-the-go adult. Ask for ACC 600 effervescent or oral powder at your nearest pharmacy to get rid of the snotties and flemings. And trust, if it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
Choose the best. The new Huawei Pura 80 series. The master of photography. A super sensor with precision zoom. Stay sharp from dawn to dusk with a superior 1-inch ultralighting camera and ultralighting macro telephoto lens. The master of color, enhancing every frame with vibrant color and incredible clarity. Tricky lighting? No problem. Take portraits against the light with every face perfectly illuminated. It's more than a phone. It's a professional studio in your pocket. Go beyond with Huawei Pura 80 series.
The 12th edition of the DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star, is here. Experience unbeatable vibes this Heritage Weekend at the Kyalami Grand Prix circuit on the 20th and 21st of September. On Saturday 20th, catch Don Toliver, Questa, Inkabi, Zwezwe, and more. Then on Sunday the 21st, don't miss the iconic Lauryn Hill on a 25th anniversary tour with special guests YG Mali and Zion Mali with Lira Mandisi Janchi, Zoe Mudicha. They'll all be performing on Sunday. Tickets at Ticketmaster. The DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star, proudly supported by 702.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. President Cyril Ramaphosa has officially raised the limit for private donations to political parties to 30 million rand a year. He has acted on a resolution taken by the National Assembly in May after a revision of the limit and the threshold for declaring donations for Parliament's Home Affairs Committee. Like the donation limit, the declaration threshold has also been doubled to 200,000 rand. Lindsay Dentlinker has more.
After removing the 15 million rand donation limit private donors could make to political parties and independent candidates just before last year's May elections, the Western Cape High Court forced Parliament to reinstate the limit in August last year and for political parties to backdate their declarations to the Electoral Commission until a new limit was set. The original limits were set in 2018 when the National Assembly passed the Political Party Funding Act. In a proclamation published in the Government Gazette, President Cyril Ramaphosa has now determined the new donation limit to be 30 million rand a year. All donations more than 200,000 rand will now also have to be declared. Speaking in the Western Cape last week, the IEC's manager for political funding, George Mahlangu, said no party would be off the hook in declaring its donations, and even if below the declaration threshold, parties are expected to record these in their annual financial statements. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
Please note the following story deals with crimes of a sexual nature. A Mitchells Plain man has been sentenced to life imprisonment for raping his stepdaughter for almost 2 decades. The attacks started when the victim was a minor and she is now in her 20s. The 43-year-old man was found guilty on charges of indecent assault, sexual assault, and 4 counts of rape. Lauren Isaacs has more.
The accused, who cannot be named, denied raping his wife's daughter and claimed that he had an affair with the victim from the age of 19. But the court rejected his claims of an affair and consensual sex and sentenced the 43-year-old man to life behind bars. The National Prosecuting Authority's Eric Ntabazalila says the victim's ordeal was worsened by her mother, who chose not to believe her and even testified in her rapist's defense during his trial. In a victim impact statement the young woman shared, she suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, which causes fear, depression, nightmares and insomnia. Lauren Isaacs, Eyewitness News.
The Palm Ridge Magistrates Court is today set to hear the bail applications of 3 men accused of killing former IFP Member of Parliament Ketamabala Sithole. Sithole was shot during a ward meeting in Katlehong in May. 2 other IFP members were also seriously injured during the shooting. Tabiso Goba reports.
Ketsokuhle Sithole, Tando Ximba and Beokuhle Sithole are alleged to be behind the assassination of Ketamabala Sithole. Despite the same surname, the 2 accused shooters do not share any relation with the deceased parliamentarian. The matter was postponed last week to give the defense lawyers time to prepare the bail applications. Sipho Sithole, Ketamabala's older brother, previously told EWN the family is concerned about the possibility of the alleged killers being released on bail.
There's a lot of fear over the fact that not all the suspects have been caught by police. His children and wives should be here, but they are scared to come. That's why it's us, who are a bit older, that are following this case.
Police are still on the hunt for one other suspect believed to be linked to this case. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $3,338.35 an ounce. The rand is at 17.65 to the dollar, 23.83 to the pound, 20.57 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.20 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 North between Van Buren Road and the Kilulis interchange while traveling along the Sefako-Makgatho Drive. This is in the city of Tshwane, Montana Park. Do expect delays approaching the N1 exit. And on the N1, an accident reported right near Sefako-Makgatho exit. It's still causing delays.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 23 and 24 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. President Cyril Ramaphosa has officially raised the limit for private donations to political parties to 30 million rand a year.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Show up for the finalist who showed up for you. Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko. Vote for your favorite local business now on primediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. Time now for our World of Work feature.
702.
World of Work.
So, on our World of Work feature today, we are discussing how to make the work environment more friendly to mothers. Working moms are not only raising families, but they're also bringing, resilience, empathy, and innovation into the boardroom. So some people will argue that I've seen the benefits of being a working mom. I've seen how being a mom and juggling all sorts of things has actually just somehow elevated me and helped me when I'm in the boardroom. And yes, while the impact of mothers in the workplace is undeniable, the statistics actually paint a concerning picture, from the cost of childcare to the widening motherhood wage gap. Working mothers often face immense challenges in the workplace. And if you are a working mom, I'd like to hear what your experience has been. How have you been juggling the two? How do you think this has helped you in the workplace? And what changes would you like to see? Because statistics show that childcare costs, a lack of flexibility even in the workplace, and the motherhood wage penalty are pushing many women out of the workplace. So are South African workplaces even doing enough to create family-friendly environments, or are we still far behind? According to the 2025 State of Motherhood Survey by Motherly, a staggering 66% of mothers said that the cost and stress of childcare led them to consider leaving working or reducing their hours. I remember actually having a conversation with Mpumi Madisha, who is the group CEO of Bidvest. Should try and find that clip for you, where she came on the show. We were doing the hanging out feature with her, and she was talking about how difficult it is to really be a CEO of such a huge company, and you still need to worry about, the expectations that are there for you as a mother. Anya van Beek is a talent strategist who's going to guide us through this conversation. Anya, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How lovely to talk again.
Yeah. So first of all, maybe let's start with, just because there are some mom who are saying, oh, I see the benefits that come with those skills that I get when I'm at home, the skills of juggling everything else. And I imagine that you probably have your own experience as well. What have you seen just from your observation about the experience women have at home and how juggling things has somehow benefited them even in the boardroom or at work as managers?
Yeah, absolutely. Such a powerful question, because I think we sometimes overlook what we call transferable skills. And transferable skills, I want the working mums to remember that that's their experience in everyday life, that they can take over in a work-related scenario. So if we think of a few, you mentioned resilience, and I think that's such a beautiful, powerful one, because we all understand how much more resilience we need to be in this fast-paced, ever-changing world of work. But I think when we think of resilience, it's really about navigating setbacks and really learn from adversity and be able to adapt more easily to unknown and uncertainties in the workplace. And I think that's something that working mums can definitely relate to, because as a woman, there's so many balls that you need to juggle. And it's all about how do you learn to recover from setbacks and how do you adjust to new circumstances. And that's where aspects like humor and optimism and even emotional maturity can support you to build resilience.
Yeah.
So that's just one.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
And another one?
So the other one that I wanted to mention is emotional regulation. I mean, we just know how important emotional intelligence is in the world of work. And emotional regulation really highlights how we can stay calm under pressure, especially if you think of managing diverse teams. We have 5 different generations in the workplace, and that's where emotional regulation really supports you, because we are empathetic navigators. When we think of taking care of the families and then taking those skills over to work.
Yeah. So there's obviously a lot of support that working moms need so that they're not juggling everything by themselves. How do you think workplaces can be more accommodating to moms? And from your observation and work you do in the space, are most workplaces very friendly and accommodating to moms?
Yeah, I would say not necessarily all, and that's why I would love the listeners to phone in and share their experience. What I have seen, the most successful companies, if we talk about accommodating flexibility, is really to start off with conversations around inclusive dialogue. Often I see that the HR teams or even the managers and leaders at an organization decide this is what we would like to offer the moms or the working moms in the business. And that might not necessarily be what they're working for or the support that they need. So I think it really starts off with having that dialogue with the people involved. And then the other part that is definitely making a big difference is flexibility and flexible structures. And we definitely do see that more in the workplace. But I think there's room for even bigger transformation there. I mean, flexible working hours is definitely one that we see. Even remote work, now that we have a hybrid environment, is also something that we see. But there's things like job sharing, where you take one role and you can actually divide it into two people being responsible for that, perhaps one in the morning, one in the afternoon, or 2 or 3 days a week, whatever. But that's the type of conversations that we need to have. And I think for businesses, it's also having a look at how do you recognize the contributions of mums and doing that visibly. Do you spotlight what they're doing? Do you have a specific acknowledgement where you focus on their development, perhaps looking at development opportunities? And even are you intentional about retaining them in the workplace? Because so often, and I see that especially women being pregnant, going off on maternity leave and coming back, and that's often where they struggle a lot. Now, if we think of retaining them, it might even be a scenario where you phase in after maternity leave. So there's just a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more support when you first return back to the office. So that's just a few to look at. I've recently been involved in a beautiful program where we focus on power skills for women in the workplace. And what was interesting for me is to see how much the women value just having an opportunity to brainstorm and have conversations with one another. And it's almost as if there was a natural mentorship happening afterwards, and people leveraging on this is working for me, this is perhaps how I'm thinking of the scenario, and really supporting one another. So even just having those support networks in place can make a huge difference.
Yeah. And I mean, there are many women who fear that starting a family will slow down their careers. What would you say to those that are worried about balancing the roles? I mean, one of the things that I was surprised by just yesterday was that even with maternity leave, for instance, you're really getting about 65 or 70% of your salary, somewhere about that. And there are some women who actually are single women and they get concerned about that. Like, you start now considering, should I even expand my family, seeing that I'm gonna be squeezed further financially as well.
Yeah.
And
I think that is actually linking back to that stat that you've mentioned about the widening of the gender pay discrepancy that we see. Now, to answer your question, that's something that I think each and every woman needs to decide for themselves. There's nothing that I necessarily can say to influence their decision, but what I would like to advise them is to really go and consider what is important for you as a woman. What is the type of life that you want to create for yourself, even if you're a single mom? And then from there, being very specific to plan accordingly. I think sometimes as women, we are afraid to ask for help. And I think if you're there contemplating, should I start a family or not? I mean, I'm fortunate to be a mom, and I would never ever, take that away. I mean, I cannot imagine my life without kids. But it definitely takes some courageous conversations, because even if you just think of the support at home, would it be your significant other? Would it be your partner? Would it perhaps be your extended family? Or who's your support? Because you can't do everything on your own. And I think that is sometimes just starting with having those conversations and even put down boundaries. I mean, if we think of the work environment, and we spoke about the hybrid work environment, is so often I see women continuing after hours because they focus on quality, they focus on making an impact, and it's actually for them to say, no, I'm putting down the boundary. 5 o'clock is my ritual to close the laptop, and I'm now putting on the other hat. And I think in the end, everything is possible, especially if you are present in the current moment. And what I mean by present in the current moment, meaning that if you at a work business meeting, be present there and don't worry about the homework or the cake that you still need to bake. Or if you're at home doing homework, don't worry about the presentation for tomorrow. Rather, just be present in that moment. So that's a few tips that I can give the women. I think the financial strain is a big concern, especially as you've mentioned, the rising cost of childcare, the stress of now there's not transport or whatever the crisis might be. But that's where they say it takes a village to raise a family. And that's where you need to, focus on the people who can support you.
Yeah, and speaking of support, I mean, if there were shared responsibilities in most households, I'm sure we wouldn't really be having this kind of conversation, unfortunately. And of course, there are single dads out there, by the way, who probably are facing similar pressures, but it's mostly women who, some of them are single, some of them still married, still partnered, but they still somehow take on the bigger and much responsibilities in the household, which is still unfair. Like, who says it must be them who cook every day? Who says it must be them who stress about transport and homework and all that? But there's some women out there who go through that, and I want you to share your experiences with us. Are you a working mom? And how do you think this, one, has helped you in the workplace, but also what changes would you like to see? Do you think workplaces in this country are doing enough to create family-friendly environments, or are we still far, far, far behind? I'd like to hear from your experiences. 011-883-0702. Send your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. 22 after 11.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
This idea that private car owners are now being forcibly stopped by taxi operators from having passengers in their car because the taxis believe those are commuters who should be paying them to get from A to Z and shouldn't be getting that ride for free in your car. This is the thinking we are dealing with when it comes to the taxi associations. And I've long been saying we keep ignoring this problem and it's not going to go away.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring Pesto Princess. Founder Kathleen Killigan will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
Dear Journal, day 3049 of trying to be an adult. I still haven't bought a recycling bin, so there's a mountain of cans in my kitchen that could collapse at any moment. Anyway, what's that saying about your home being a reflection of your mental state?
Got evicted from the family home? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's like 570 Rand a month, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Unfold extraordinary with the brand new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 5G 512 gig. Get it on a 6 gig Red Core plan from 1,749 per month over 36 months and double your storage with Vodacom, Zanzi's winning 5G network. Enhance your deal. Add 149 extra per month and get the Galaxy Watch 8 eSIM and Galaxy Buds 3. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
Are you looking for the best savings on spectacles? At Specsavers, enjoy 1,500 Rand off when you get tested at South Africa's trusted and most established optical group. Get 1,500 Rand off all frames in store, or use your 1,500 Rand off on our leading lens enhancements, such as drive light lenses that reduce artificial glare whilst driving. Book online or call your nearest store today. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
702.
World of Work.
25 minutes after 11 o'clock, we're talking about workplaces and how they can be more family friendly, more friendly to working moms as well, and what needs to change. We're taking your WhatsApps on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Clement. I think it's difficult to be a mother and be employed full time, because if you work in a very busy environment, there's always development courses that are taking places. During working day, you are extremely busy and you are expected to get home and study certain development modules, whereby when you get home, you don't even have that time, and because you have to care for your little ones. Then the next day when you come to work, it looks like you are not prepared, you are not interested, or you are not willing. But unfortunately, it's just so difficult.
On the topic of workplace flexibility, and in this case, in the context of working moms, I think it's not just working moms, it's just in general the situation that women are in as caretakers. For me, a very enduring and lasting impression was made on me during lockdown, when we worked extremely long hours because of the pressure and the staff impacts, etc. And the ladies in the management team simply could not keep up, because while the men would sit on meetings 5 o'clock in the evening, 6 o'clock in the evening, 8 o'clock in the evening, 7 o'clock in the morning, these ladies are the people who have to prepare lunch, dinner, lunch boxes, help with homework, clean, tidy up the house, etc., etc. And just the sheer practicality of that excludes them from being able to compete for senior management positions, because the gentlemen sitting on those same meetings, had wives or partners taking care of us, whereas the ladies had to do it all for themselves. So I think, it's a very uneven battle, regardless of whether a company is willing to be accommodating or not.
Hello, Clement. Thank you for the wonderful topic around working moms. I would like to remain anonymous for this one. This is anonymous calling from Rodiport, and I feel like companies do not really understand or explore how they can support working moms. It's pretty much a one-size-fits-all approach. For an example, you get an invitation to an event where they are meant to celebrate you and your achievement, but the event takes place on a Thursday night, so for me as a single working mom, that for me is a huge inconvenience. I've been working the whole day. Now I need to attend an evening event on a Thursday, but on Friday, my children still need to go to school. So I wish that in an effort to celebrate us and our achievements, they would pay closer attention as to what would work for somebody like me, who is a single mother and still working.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for sharing your experiences. And Anya, I mean, what really boggles my mind is if really companies are aware of the situation in this country, in fact, globally, in as far as the responsibilities that women have go in the household, even women who are partnered. I mean, it's worse for single parents, but you've got women who are partnered and still shoulder a lot of responsibility. If that is so clear and it's not questionable, why then are employers not thinking of ways to try? Because they do get value from these women in the workplace. Then why are we not thinking about ways to make these environments more friendlier to them, knowing the kind of pressure that they face outside these walls?
Yeah, I think that's such an important question, and I can so relate with what the woman said that called in, especially the one saying, at 5 o'clock when you close the office door, then you start your second day job. Oh. And I think it might be that people still have a bias about availability, and perhaps thinking that if you're not available 24/7, you're not committed to the work, which is not so. So I think it really boils down to that outdated thinking of what a leader is. And if we just think of that feminine leadership lifestyle. We know what they bring to the table is that empathy, the compassion, the focus on relational strengths and collaboration and inclusivity. So it's, as you said, we need to open up those conversations about how can we support them. And I love what that Anonymous said, because it's not a one-size-fits-all. If you really value and want to retain the talent as working moms, let's start having those conversations to see what exactly do you need to support you, and perhaps have different options available, because it's a different requirement for each and every one.
Anya van Beek, thank you so much. Always great having you on the show on such important conversations. Anya van Beek is a talent strategist. It's now 11:30. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Mbali, hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. President Cyril Ramaphosa has officially raised the limit for private donations to political parties to 30 million rand a year. He's acted on a resolution taken by the National Assembly in May after a revision of the limit and the threshold for declaring donations by Parliament's Home Affairs Committee. Members of the E-Hailing Partners Council of Gauteng are set to march to the province's Transport Office to hand over a memorandum of demands today. The group says its march follows a number of failed attempts to have their issues resolved. These matters range from safety concerns, fair price setting, and the alleged impounding of their e-hailing vehicles. And the city of Joburg is rolling out its accelerated service delivery operation in Sandton today as it continues preparations for the G20 summit in November. Sandton is expected to be a central hub for international delegates, with many said to be accommodated in the area. Those are the headlines, this EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Travelling on the N3 North, please be on the lookout for some delays between Van Buren Road and the Gilulies interchange. There's also slow-moving traffic along the N12 West towards the Gilulies turn-off coming out of the R24 merge. Travelling in Protea Glen, some delays on the N12 East towards Klipspruit Valley Road. Please be on the lookout there. And in the city of Tshwane, we still have got that accident on the N1 North. It happened right near Sefako Makhato Drive, and it's causing delays. There's also queuing traffic along Sefako Makhato. This is just as you approach the N1 exit. Please be on the lookout there and continue driving with K. I'm Amo Ramela. Otherwise, Karabujali will have your next traffic update at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
62 million rand in total estimated Powerball and Powerball Plus jackpots could see you rolling in the millions this Tuesday. Don't miss out. Play Powerball for an estimated 21 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 41 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda Push-Up Player. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Okay, truck 7, that has 0 warning lights. Truck 8, it's just been serviced. I guess we're running like a well-oiled machine. Where would I be without MyWay's comprehensive cover for my vans and trucks? Plus, cover for my customers' orders with goods and transit insurance. I guess we'll never know.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. MyWay is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. MyWay. Live your way.
A sinkhole on the R21 near Olifantsfontein is being repaired, but this isn't just about restoring the road. Sunral's 154 million rand project is opening the door to new opportunities for the local community, from training and mentorship for SMMEs to jobs for unskilled labor and real experience for young engineers. This project is repairing more than a road, it's building futures. Work starts mid-September 2025. Sunral, building South Africa through better roads.
Are you living with diabetes? Tired of painful fingerstick tests? Introducing a new continuous glucose monitoring system from Abbott Laboratories. The Freestyle Libre 2 system sends glucose readings straight to your compatible smartphone. With minute-by-minute glucose readings, optional glucose alarms, and excellent accuracy, the Freestyle Libre system is here to support you in the management of your diabetes. For more information and where to buy your Freestyle Libre 2 sensor, visit www.freestylelibre.za.com. Now available at your local pharmacy.
Franchise your future with the vision to invest, the mindset to follow a proven system, and the drive to grow something of your own. Meet the minds behind smart investments and proven franchise success on Franchise Your Business with Relebogile Mabotja, brought to you by Cash Converters on 702. Plus, you could win 10,000 Rand to kickstart your journey to franchise your future. Hit primemediaplus.com now. Then, every Tuesday from 1 p.m., catch Franchise Your Future on afternoons with Relebogile Mabotja, brought to you by Cash Converters. Your money, your momentum on 702. Let's walk the talk.
702.
Health and wellness.
All right, on our health and wellness feature this morning, we are discussing what many of us are struggling with, and I'd like you to raise your hand if this is not your struggle. Belly fat and how to lose it, especially at this age. I said earlier that there are people who are even considering going to Turkey to have it sorted out there through surgery because it's just been difficult. For many people, stubborn belly fat is one of the hardest areas to target, no matter how many diets or workouts they try. So beyond their appearance, carrying that extra weight around the midsection can also affect our health. That can increase the risk of conditions such as diabetes, heart disease, and high blood pressure, issues we know are already affecting many South Africans. So experts are always, saying we need to conquer belly fat. And that's about understanding your body. It's about understanding your lifestyle and making small but sustainable changes that work for you. And I want to hear from you this morning. Do you have belly fat? Have you been struggling to get rid of it? What have you tried? Or maybe you used to have, and you have tried certain things, whether it's a diet, whether it's a form of exercise, whatever it is, you have somehow managed to get rid of your belly fat. How did you conquer that belly fat? I would like both experiences, please. 011-883-0702. You can call us there. The WhatsApp line 072-702-1702. Brett Iloff is a performance and wellness coach who's going to guide us through this chat. Brett, thanks for making time. Hi.
Hi, Clement. How are you doing today?
I'm all right, man. A lot of people, including myself, believe that belly fat is the hardest to lose. Why is it often so stubborn, more than fat in other parts of the body?
Well, that's a great question. I think, first off the bat, I think generally, based on the difference between, men and women, men generally do tend to struggle more with belly fat, and that's just based on kind of the distribution of testosterone, and especially women as they get older, the estrogen levels start to decrease, deplete, and there's generally a redistribution of body weight to the kind of belly fat, belly fat area, or what they call the visceral fat. It is extremely difficult in the fact that when you do try lose weight, it's not just a case of targeting a specific area, it's a general holistic approach. So you can't kind of just go out and say, I'm going to target belly fat, that's unfortunately not how it works. It has to start with just looking at your kind of health, holistically, and generally with time, if you kind of do the right things and implement the right strategy, that belly fat should, generally reduce. And as you said, it is extremely dangerous for our health, and the fact that the visceral fat surrounds our organs, our heart, it increases blood pressure. It has a massive effect on kind of your pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes, which is a massive issue worldwide. So it is extremely difficult. I've kind of struggled with it in the past, and there's obviously a few things you can do to bring it down.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the health risks that are linked with carrying excess belly fat? Because I've seen that sometimes we worry too much about the look, how we look with that belly fat, and not so much the health risks, and we should equally be worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of risks, with regards to the belly fat or visceral fat, which is the fat that surrounds organs. I think the biggest thing is that fat generally, causes a lot of inflammation in the body. And with that inflammation, it drives a whole host of diseases, including cancer, obviously, potential heart disease, from increased heart rates, blood pressure. So there's a lot of kind of underlying, diseases that kind of come from that, the belly fat.
Okay. So we often hear about the quick fix promises. You've heard, Brett, about specialties, fat burners, some miracle diets of sort. There are so many myths around losing belly fat. What would you say actually works from what you have seen and experimented with?
Yeah, it's extremely interesting. I was actually watching that new documentary on Netflix the other day with regards to The Biggest Loser, and how most of the winners of those, the 12 seasons or whatever, have kind of put all their weight back on, and some are actually even heavier than they were before. And the biggest reason around that was, these quick fix diets, over exercising, under eating, drinking, caffeinated tablets, teas and that. I think the biggest thing around the fundamentals of health is it is a journey. It's not a quick fix. It takes a lot of hard work, and there's a reason that there are more millionaires in the world than there are people with six packs, because it's extremely difficult in the society we live in. There's fast food outlets on every corner. These foods are produced to drive massive cravings. So don't feel bad about, craving junk food, sweets, sugar. They have done studies also that, where they've done studies where they've given cocaine as well as sugar to rats, and the rats eventually end up gravitating more towards the sugar than towards the cocaine, which tells you how addictive the stuff is. I think there are a few strategies to implement that would help. I think number one for most people, and that includes men and women, is to build muscle, right? Mm-hmm. Muscle is metabolically active. It's far more metabolically active than kind of fat cells. And a lot of people kind of, when they go on these health journeys, they kind of gravitate towards cardio, over running, and just focusing on cardio. With muscle, your body is, because it's metabolically active, you are going to burn a lot more calories. So number one for most people, and because we lose muscle as we age, we want to keep on as much muscle as possible. So that could be body weight exercises, it could be going to the gym, it could be getting a personal trainer, but you need to kind of work your muscles to maintain that. That has a massive effect on just how many calories your body burn. And as I said, you can't just target the belly fat. I think that a lot of people kind of drive inflammation also in the body by trying to, do too much cardio. I think that just running, just walking, that kind of zone to training is extremely effective. I'd say to people, move a lot more. So instead of looking to do 30 minutes of cardio a day, rather just walk more. Get up every 30 minutes, 45 minutes, go for an extended walk to the coffee shop, or to go see friends, or just around the block. It's a strategy I do every kind of hour at my office. I will walk around the block just to kind of, get those steps in. It's extremely important. It has a good effect on your kind of glucose levels, which are important, to keep those, as not to keep them elevated, so just to kind of keep them as stable as possible. When it comes to food, I think food is probably one of the biggest drivers to belly fat.
Oh my goodness. So
processed foods that you do eat are going to unfortunately do that, but what's most interesting is, and it's probably the most effective thing for most people to do, is to just cut out the kind of sugary drinks. Obviously alcohol is a no-go. Not to say that it's, you can't have, a few glasses of wine every now and then. But especially the kind of sodas, so the Cokes, the Fantas, and even the diet drinks. Because what tends to happen is all sugar has to kind of go through the liver to get converted. It's not like your general carbohydrates that have a glucose component that the rest of the cells in your body can use. Whereas, with fructose, which is essentially sugar, alcohol, and any processed sugar, that has to go through, the liver to be processed. And that has an effect on kind of the belly fat, just purely because you're driving up insulin in the body. And when you drive up insulin, that generally also kind of puts the body into more of a kind of fat storage zone, and it generally tends to distribute around your midsection.
So it doesn't matter that you walk a lot, you run a lot, and so that whatever amount of sugar you take in your drinks or whatever, then like you work it out like through running and exercising and stuff.
Yeah, so the whole calorie in, calorie out thing has been kind of stood the test of time. I do think calories have an important component to them, but it's also the type of calories. So what's the effect on your hormonal system when you kind of taking in these calories? So the calories from a Coke are extremely different to the calories from a 300-gram steak, right? You're getting protein, you're getting fat, and your body is actually using energy to burn that off. Whereas with a Coke, it kind of goes straight into your system. It goes through the liver, it makes the liver very sluggish, and it generally tends to kind of store that more around the midsection. So the quality of the food and what you're drinking is extremely important when it comes to kind of your belly fat.
Okay.
So the first thing I'd say to people is don't worry about counting calories per se. I'd say try and cut out the fizzy drinks, obviously the alcohol, and even the fruit juices. So people think generally fruit juices are healthy. Fruit juices, because you've now blitzed them up and there's no fiber component, those also generally go straight to the liver. And it's essentially like drinking a Coke because you're getting 28 or 30 grams of sugar with no fiber components that has to be processed by the liver. It drives up insulin in the body, and we know that when insulin is elevated, and insulin generally goes up when you eat carbohydrate-rich foods, right? And when you are drinking these kind of sugary drinks, you're causing these massive insulin spikes. And what has been found in these kind of tests and experiments that they do is if you have fat cells in petri dishes, without insulin they actually can't grow, and that's why you also look at type 1 diabetics. Type 1 diabetics and what a type 1 diabetic is they don't have the ability to produce insulin in the body, right? So they have to inject themselves with insulin, and that's also the reason they can eat 10,000 calories without kind of looking fat.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's healthy for them, because a lot of them end up dying, from various other diseases. But insulin does have a massive role. So when people say calories are the most important, yes, calories are extremely important, but it's also dependent on the hormonal kind of effects you're having on the body from the foods you eat.
Okay, got it. Yeah, Brett, I want to take a quick ad break and then we'll come back. I've got lots of questions and some inputs from our listeners, so I want to bring that up after this break. It's 12 minutes now before 12.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
Sad to see the political stuff that followed the Driekus loss. Should sporting people take up political issues openly and overtly? Some will say yes, they have a platform and therefore they must make known whatever issues that they do have to make known. And some will say no, they must just play the game, keep it at that, because they represent the aspirations of a country which is made up of different political views. After all is said and done, he's South African and we should give him the support as South Africans.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Whenever you hear deep in the heart and art of jazz, think Sia Makuzeni with the big band, Jasmine Horn, Alun Wad, The Baylor Project, Jose James sings Badu, Umusangare, Esperanza Spalding, Michelle Ndujiochelo, Elaine, Tezo, Munei, Mondli Ngobo, and many other spectacular icons. Think Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival, 4 stages at the Sandton Convention Center, 26th, 27th, and 28th September, and take me there. Book via Ticketmaster.
My friend always says, not my problem, bro. But what if it was your sister, your mother, your daughter? Gender-based violence is everyone's problem. And good men don't look away. If you see abuse, don't be silent. Report it. Call the SA Police on 10111 or the GBVF Command Center on 0800 428 428. Strong men protect. Strong women stand up. Together, we can end gender-based violence and femicide. Break the vicious cycle. Act now. A message from Government Communications, the GCIS.
Hi, I'm Dion Free. Winning requires audacity. That's why I joined African Bank and opened a 60-month fixed-term investment account. I'm scoring 12.8% interest at expiry on my investment. How cool is that? You too can join the bank that backs you to grow your money. Pop into a branch near you or visit africanbank.co.za. African Bank. Audacity to believe. African Bank is a licensed financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
702.
Health and wellness.
Belly fat and how to lose it is what we're discussing on our health and wellness feature this morning. Someone on Twitter says, "Hi Clement, did we have to talk about belly fat almost close to lunchtime?" That's Lisiba on Twitter. Yes, Lisiba. Take that quarter back. That's Patlo you're probably holding there and can grab a salad. Brett, there are a few voice notes that have come through, some questions as well. So let's start there.
Morning, 702 Kamuya from Johannesburg. I have a question regarding fat in the belly, which is visceral fat, but also just fat in general on the entire body. I'm in my late 30s currently, and previously in my 20s and in my early 20s, I've lost excessive amounts of weight, over 20 kgs, and it was very easy to do it. But I have this problem where I gain the weight back, but I've seen that from my mid-30s now in my late 30s, it's a struggle to lose the weight, even though I've approached it the same way as I've done in the past, but the weight is just resistant and refuses to come off. So what could be attributing to that?
So I always struggled with my belly, and no matter how much exercise I do, I still have that belly. So I want to know what exercises or what diet can you follow to specifically reduce belly fat? Thanks.
Morning, Clement. I just want to hear from your case. Does drinking warm water help us in any way in burning fat?
Okay, thank you so much for your questions. Brad, there's a question about drinking warm water. Does it help? The other person asked about exercises to do. And then someone in their mid-30s who says, I'm struggling to lose the weight now that I'm in my mid-30s, even though I'm using the same approach that's been successful in the past.
Where would you like to start?
Anyway.
Okay, so warm water, I personally don't think the warm water approach makes kind of any difference as to whether you're drinking warm or cold water. It's generally, your body kind of works on a thermodynamic kind of basis, so it's all dependent on kind of, the foods you're eating as well as kind of your movement. Obviously, you have to look at various hormonal factors also, within the body because it is a dual approach. But no, unfortunately, just drinking warm water is not going to have a massive effect on kind of your body.
Okay.
With regards to kind of the mid-30s and struggling more, yes, generally, I think that, as I discussed earlier, as we get older, we generally tend to lose muscle. And muscle has a massive thermodynamic effect on the body. So we generally burn far more calories when we have more muscle. So we generally, we're losing, up to 2 kilograms of muscle every decade. That has a massive effect because even if it's kind of your body's burning an extra 100 calories a day over a given year, that's like 36,000 calories, which is kind of 1 or 2 kilograms of weight. And that's generally, if you take it over a 10-year period, if you're putting on even just 1 kg of weight over 10 years, that's an extra 10 kgs. So it's not, most people don't struggle with putting on 10 kgs within 3 months. It's that slow, gradual, steady kind of, accumulating weight. So that's, people in their 20s generally look good. They put on, a kg of kind of weight every year from there. So by the time they kind of get to 40, they're 10 kgs heavier. But it hasn't been a quick shift. It happens over time. So generally, what also tends to happen as we get older, we tend to move less. So you might find if you play more sports, you were more active, and then diet does have an effect. So you really have to look at what you were kind of eating in your 20s, even though you can get away with a bit more because generally you do maybe have more muscle mass and your hormones are maybe not as affected. As men, we also generally tend to drop testosterone as we age. So there are various factors. It's not kind of a one solution approach. You have to look at various things, and that's how I kind of coach my clients. We look at DNA, we look at blood work, we look at what they're doing exercise-wise, and then most importantly, how they're eating. Because, if you are generally eating a bad diet, there's probably a case that you are on your way to pre-diabetes, especially eating a lot of processed foods. That has a massive effect also on the body. So it is a holistic approach, but what I would say is get into the gym more, try to do a bit more, weight, focus on eating your protein. The protein is going to keep you full with eating less calories, and then also just move more. As I said, every 45 minutes, get up, walk more, make sure you're getting in your kind of 8,000 to 10,000 steps if you can. Obviously, if you can only get in 5,000, it's great. But those were those three kind of fundamentals, as well as sleeping well. When we sleep badly, we generally tend to eat more food the next day because we dysregulate our glucose. So if you're not sleeping well, I would also, make a major effort to sleep well. And then obviously stress. Stress has a massive effect on cortisol. Cortisol generally tends us to eat more. And it also has an effect on where we accumulate that body fat, and that's generally around the belly.
Okay. And then specific exercises to do?
Specific exercises, a lot of people will gravitate towards doing sit-ups. I personally think that's a waste of time. I think that with regards to physique, it generally does start in the kitchen. So if you are struggling with belly fat, I would say the first place to start is to start in the kitchen. Your abs are obviously there. They might, not be, you can do exercises for them to kind of pop a bit more, but your abs are there. It's just about, showing them. And how do you show them? You have to reduce the body fat. How do you reduce the body fat? The most effective way is in the kitchen. I would follow a kind of, probably more of like a paleo or insulin reducing diet. So I'd really focus on eating a lot of, good veg, a lot of protein, good healthy fats, which kind of also support gut health, as well as brain health. When you're feeling better, you also generally don't want to eat those, highly processed foods. It is very much a momentum thing. So, it's just about getting on track for that 1 week, and you'll find that things generally then tend to flow from there.
I see. Just lastly, quickly, so for people who run, because you spoke about the importance of building muscle, because that helps. I've seen that when I run a lot, I start losing a lot of muscle. Should I just work harder at the gym to, get more and more muscle to avoid just the concern around running? Because I cannot not run.
It's a multifaceted approach, right? You obviously need the muscle mass. I think muscle mass is the number one kind of priority for longevity in your life, because obviously a lot of people, as they get into their 60s and 70s, they are frail, they don't have muscle, they generally tend to fall and break their hips. That's almost like a death sentence. With regards to cardio, it's extremely important. Your VO2 max is also a leading indicator to longevity. So I would say go for a multifaceted approach where, yes, keep your running. I love running myself, but you will find that you generally lose muscle and you won't have the body or physique that you really want. If you go look in kind of the best bodies in the world, it's generally guys that are focusing on the resistance and strength training. Okay. If you go look at the guys, the 80% of the guys that start comrades are generally overweight and they don't have good physiques. I'm not talking about the professional runners. I'm talking about your amateur runners that are running kind of 12-hour times. So I would say spend three days a week in the gym and then the rest of your time running.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Brett Eloff, we're out of time, but thanks so much, man, for making time for us. He's a performance and wellness coach.
Coming up on the Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Mandy, how you doing?
Good, thanks to you, Clem.
What's popping today?
Santaco's apologized to the family of an e-hailing driver that was killed in Soweto. They're having a press conference today.
That apology, does that mean that they're not saying
they're
that
helping
they were
to
involved?
investigate.
Okay.
They're helping to investigate, and they are working with authorities. The e-hailing drivers, are also marching in the Joburg CBD. The president has raised the political party funding threshold. We'll have a look at that. And Clement, do you know what skibidi and delulu mean?
No, I never know these top things you talk to me about. Like, I'm boring.
That's why you need to listen to the midday report, because we teach you.
Last time you spoke about what?
Lububus.
Lububus. And I
Yes.
didn't even know that. Okay, now I must know about
Skibidi and delulu. They've been
Skibidi.
added to the Cambridge Dictionary.
whatever that is.
They're
I'll find out.
Gen Alpha
Yeah.
words.
Okay, I'll find out on your show, I guess. That's the show coming up now after the news. Thank you for listening to the Clement Manyathela Show, the Tuesday installment. We'll be back tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The Johannesburg High Court is expected to hand down sentence in the case of Pete Sarah Simiao, who pled guilty to the kidnapping, rape and murder of 6-year-old Amantle Samane. Simiao was arrested in October last year and entered into a guilty plea, a move the defense says shows remorse. But the state argues that the crime was cruel, planned and had devastating consequences for the family, factors it says warrant a harsh sentence. Earlier today, Hamantle's mother Ntombi Samane gave a tearful victim impact statement expressing the family's pain.
Hear the cry of the child, or when the child is crying outside, I get agitated and I miss her so much. It gave me that hatred, more especially towards foreigners.
Members of the E-Hailing Partners Council of Gauteng are set to march to the province's transport office today to hand over a memorandum of demands. The group says its march follows a number of failed attempts to have their issues resolved. These matters range from safety concerns, fair price setting and the alleged impounding of their e-hailing vehicles. The representative's chairperson, Henry Matebula, says they